My husband Zhao Jingze is the crown prince of Beijing's elite circle. In our past life, Zhao Jingze faked his death to play some twisted love game. While he was living blissfully with his true love, I was slaving away to manage the Zhao family empire. In the end, I worked myself to the bone and wasted away from heartbreak, with little time left to live. Yet upon his return, he waited only for my last breath to throw the world's most lavish wedding for his true love. I died vomiting blood. My eyes wide open in eternal grievance, reborn, I refused to remain a pawn in their romantic games. Through tears, I claimed Zhao Jingze's business empire as my inheritance. Since that scumbag's dead, there's no need for him to ever come back. Promotion, wealth, and a dead husband, the trifecta of blessings. Can't believe it's my lucky day. Just like in my past life, I received news of my husband's death while working overtime on a Zhao Corporation project. His two childhood friends told me with grief-stricken faces, "Sis, please accept our condolences. Jingze had a bungee jumping accident. He plunged to the base of the mountain. We searched for him all day but found no trace. The odds don't look good." My husband Zhao Jingze and I had a classic arranged marriage between two well-matched families. He's known as the crown prince of Beijing's elite circles. Anyone with eyes can see the Shin family's fortunes have been declining year after year. Though I'm Shin Luoxue, a daughter of the Shin family, having a stepmother meant gaining a stepfather too. My relationship with the Shins has always been strained. That's why Grandpa Zhao never worried I'd funnel resources from his family back to mine. Unlike Zhao Jingze, who's utterly talentless in business, I inherited some of my parents' entrepreneurial flair. So when Grandpa Zhao chose me to marry his precious grandson, he was counting on me to prop up the Zhao family for Jingze. 5. At first, Zhao Jingze was indifferent toward me, but later he seemed to develop feelings and became the media's darling wife-loving fanatic. Upon hearing news of Zhao Jingze's death, I feigned devastation and asked, "What did you say?" "Jingze is dead, and it happened during a bungee jumping accident," Xing Heng, one of my childhood friends, cautiously said. The search team scoured the mountain for a full day and night but found no trace of Jingze. The team leader mentioned the possibility of wild animals carrying him away. Hearing this, I completely broke down, sobbing uncontrollably as tears streamed down my face. "I can't believe it. He promised we'd celebrate our golden anniversary together decades from now. We loved each other so deeply. How could death separate us so suddenly?" The two men stood frozen, utterly at a loss over my hysterical sobbing. Lu Zhao spoke up gently, "Sis, Jingze's gone. You need to pull yourself together. You've got to manage the family business for him now. Besides, if his spirit's watching, he'd never want to see you like this." I lashed out irrationally. "He lived for extreme sports, free solo climbing, alpine skiing, aerial surfing, bungee jumping, mastered them all, and you expect me to believe a damn bungee jump killed him? Bullshit." Xing Heng handed me Jingze's wedding ring that he'd taken off before the bungee jump. Avoiding my gaze, he said, "Jingze's final wish would have been Zhao Corporation's continued success. Someone who loved him as much as you did would surely honor that by managing it well." I shook my head violently through tears. "Tell the search team to keep looking. If they can't find him today, search for 10 days, a month, even a year. Money isn't an issue. I'll pay whatever it takes." Jingze promised to celebrate my birthday with me. "He can't break that promise," Lu Zhao said gently. "We know this is hard to accept right now, but these are the facts. You'll need to come to terms with it," Zhao Jingze's lawyer calmly told me. "Mr. Zhao had a will. If anything were to happen to him, all his assets would be inherited by Ms. Shen Luoxue." I took Zhao Jingze's asset documents, glanced through them, then pretended to be overwhelmed and rushed out the door. Otherwise, I was afraid I wouldn't be able to hold back my laughter. After returning to my billion-dollar villa, I rolled around on my 2-meter-wide bed with glee. Old man Zhao passed away a year ago, leaving no one to contest the inheritance. The Zhao family's billions will soon be entirely mine. All those months of playing the devoted lover to that scumbag after my rebirth weren't wasted after all. I squealed like a pig at the sight of the fortune I'm about to inherit. As for that bastard Zhao Jingze, since he's so fond of faking his death, let's make it permanent. Just thinking about my past life makes my heart as cold as a fishmonger's decade-worn cleaver. In my previous life, Zhao Jingze met his so-called true love 3 years into our marriage. To pursue her and prove their devotion, he faked his death and assumed a new identity. Yet unable to relinquish the Zhao family's legacy, he decided to make me his pawn. He began pretending to gradually fall for me, until his affection ran so deep that he became that famously doting husband the media adored. Slowly won over, I fell deeply in love too. I even joked to Zhao Jingze that we jumped on the marry first, love later bandwagon. He chuckled at that and ruffled my hair. What I missed was the mocking glint in his eyes. After his death, I never remarried despite having suitors. I stayed with the Zhao family to manage the estate until exhaustion claimed me, leaving little time left. Upon hearing this news, he made a grand return with his true love Lu Ninger and their son Zhao Ningze. He arranged the world's most lavish wedding, waiting only for my last breath in that hospital bed to legitimize Lu Ninger's ceremony. Upon hearing this news from my sickbed, I coughed up blood and died with eyes wide open, unable to rest in peace. After rebirth, I shed my lovesick mentality. Facing Zhao Jing's deep affection, I mustered all my acting skills to feign being utterly moved by him. My efforts weren't in vain. He became convinced I loved him just as deeply. My devotion ran so deep that after his death, I managed everything flawlessly, ensuring he'd reap the benefits upon his return. To outsiders, we were the perfect golden couple, a match made in heaven. Little did anyone know, behind closed doors we were both scheming against each other. I diligently managed Zhao Jing's business affairs, allowing him to maintain his trust fund lifestyle. Every second spent with him, I was mentally chanting inheritance. I wanted that inheritance. Once he fakes his death, the Zhao family's business empire and billions in assets will all be mine. Heaven rewards the persistent. I've finally lived to see this day, this tidal wave of fortune. Here I come. 5 days later, I held an elaborate funeral for Zhao Jingze. I immediately processed his death certificate and household deregistration. From now on, Zhao Jingze, heir to the Zhao conglomerate, would only exist as a certified deceased individual. This time, I personally handled every detail of Zhao Jing's funeral instead of delegating it to his 2 childhood friends. They hesitated at first, until Xingheng persuaded me. Don't push yourself. Lu Zhao and I have been Jing's closest brothers for years. Let us handle the funeral arrangements. You should rest now. There'll be plenty to keep you busy with the conglomerate affairs later. With utter despair in my voice, I said, I want to personally see him off on his final journey. He loved me so much, he'd surely want me by his side till the very end. Don't you think so? The two exchanged uneasy glances, likely searching for a plausible way to turn me down. As Zhao Jing's childhood friends, they were fully aware of his staged death plot and had been helping him maintain the charade before me all along. 5. In my past life, overwhelmed by grief, I entrusted them with arranging the funeral, which they handled discreetly and minimally. The news of Zhao Jing's death wasn't splashed across the media, which was utterly unbecoming of Beijing's golden boy. But how could I have spotted these red flags back then? This lifetime, I'll give him a funeral so grand the whole world will know. My revenge for his scheming. Lu Zhao took a deep breath. Sis, it's not that we're unwilling. Jingze would hate seeing you grieve while handling funeral arrangements. It'd break his heart. I'm genuinely impressed by his ability to lie through his teeth. With a grief-stricken expression, I said, he single-handedly arranged our wedding. For closure, I'll personally handle his funeral. He loved me deeply, and I must repay that devotion. Don't try to dissuade me, my mind's made up. If you persist, I'll have to question your motives. Seeing how firmly I'd spoken, they finally nodded in agreement. Inside, I was squealing with joy like an ecstatic groundhog. This unimaginable fortune will soon be mine. I contacted major media outlets to spread the news of the Beijing elite's crown prince's accidental death. The news quickly topped the trending charts. Most people across the country became aware of this news. At the funeral, all the Beijing elite in attendance watched as I wept uncontrollably, while outside, camera flashes from reporters never ceased. After the ceremony, I was swarmed by media outlets as I exited, their microphones practically shoved in my face. Madam Shen, as Chairman Zhao's wife, do you suspect foul play in his death? Exactly. Chairman Zhao had been involved in extreme sports since his teens. He was practically a seasoned veteran. How could such a sudden fatal accident happen? I heard the search team never recovered Mr. Zhao's body. How can you be certain he's dead? The questions kept coming. Good, let them ask more. I watched cold sweat bead on Lu Zhao and Xingheng's foreheads, secretly amused, but outwardly, I was just a pitiful woman who'd recently lost her husband, her pillar of strength. The reporters' relentless, tricky questions left me dizzy and overwhelmed, forcing me to retreat step by step. How could these questions possibly fall to me to answer? After all, I'm just the grieving widow who only learned of my husband's death when notified. So childhood friends Lu Zhao and Xingheng stepped forward to respond. That's more like it. True brothers should have each other's backs. Their first-hand accounts carry far more weight than anything I could say. Lu Zhao took the microphone and said, all right, both Xingheng and I were on site and witnessed him accidentally fall during the bungee jump. Many others present saw it too. Xingheng continued, we've had search teams comb the area multiple times but found no trace of Mr. Zhao Jingze. It's highly likely he fell victim to wild animals. In this tragic turn of events, no one is more devastated than his wife, Ms. Shen Luoxue. We asked the media to respect her privacy and refrain from pressing her for comments. The reporters shifted focus from Zhao Jing's death to the future of Zhao Corporation. With Mr. Zhao's passing, what lies ahead for Zhao Corporation, Madam Shen? Could you share your plans moving forward? The PR director of Zhao Group addressed the concern, saying, "There's no need to worry. While President Shen previously led our endeavors, she will continue steering our company forward. Under her leadership, our group will only grow stronger." They did the talking while I kept nodding in agreement. Later, I rewatched those interview clips repeatedly before archiving them. This all confirms Zhao Jingze is history. From now on, Zhao Group is my domain. With Zhao Jingze's will in place, I smoothly inherited his family's business empire. Now I finally had time to check on Zhao Jingze's current situation. I hired a top-tier private investigator at premium rates to keep Zhao Jingze under 24/7 surveillance. If this lunatic wants to play true love games, he should have divorced me first before chasing after Lu Ninger, but he just had to play the devoted lover, making me fall head over heels and slave away for him. I won't let him gloat over this any longer. A cold smirk crossed my lips as I reviewed the private investigator's findings. Zhao Jingze feigned a collapse near Lu Ninger's home. After being rescued, he pretended to have amnesia, successfully securing his stay with the Lu family. He's currently pursuing Lu Ninger. Truth be told, his strikingly handsome face that rivals any celebrity gives him an unbeatable advantage in romance. Even in my past life, I couldn't resist his tender affections. Now Lu Ninger has naturally fallen helplessly in love with him. Lu Ninger lived in the countryside where the internet connection was spotty, so Zhao Jingze rarely checked news notifications on his phone anymore. Little did he know, the world already considered him a dead man. Even his title as the Crown Prince of Beijing's elite circle had been passed to someone else. In his past life, Zhao Jingze truly believed Lu Ninger fell for him when he was penniless, convinced theirs was a love story for the ages. I don't see it that way, after all. This wasn't the first time Lu Ninger and Zhao Jingze had met. Back then, Zhao Jingze and I went on a countryside getaway with friends to a farm stay. That's where we met Lu Ninger, who happened to be working part-time at that farm stay to help support her family. After some casual conversation, she remarked offhandedly, "If I truly love someone, I'd stay with him regardless of wealth, as long as he treats me right." Miss Shen, you're so fortunate to have someone as remarkable as Mr. Zhao. I'd gladly live on scraps if it meant being with a man like that. Her flushed glance at Zhao Jingze lasted but a moment, yet it etched itself permanently into Zhao Jing's heart. By the time I reincarnated, the two had already met. 5. I was curious about how their relationship developed, so I did some digging. After returning from the farm stay, Zhao Jingze had his assistant look into Lu Ninger's background. To his surprise, he discovered Lu Ninger was poor but ambitious, kind-hearted, optimistic, and nothing like those gold diggers who judge people by their wealth. For a silver spoon-fed heir like him, whose parents provided money but little companionship, Lu Ninger's appeal was undeniably magnetic. Zhao Jingze wasn't particularly pleased with me as his arranged marriage wife either. He started scheming how to ditch me without jeopardizing the company, while still getting his happily ever after. In the end, he pulled the exact same stunt as in our previous life. That lunatic finally made his move on me. He began pretending to fall for me, and I played along with his little love act. Our relationship seemed to deepen gradually until we fell in love. Zhao Jingze also became a doting husband, with frequent media reports of him splurging on lavish gifts for his wife. When the time was right and he believed I was completely devoted to him, he faked his death to pursue true love as a penniless man. After all, in his view, my love for him would surely ensure I'd safeguard the Zhao family's legacy. Yet after rebirth, he became nothing but a greasy, repulsive creep in my eyes. No matter how hard he strutted like a peacock before me, I remained utterly indifferent. Any affection I had for him vanished the moment he carried out his vile scheme. So when Zhao Jingze booked that bungee jumping session again, my heart raced with anticipation. How can I possibly stay calm knowing I'm about to inherit his billion-dollar fortune? From the footage captured in the records, Zhao Jingze and Lu Ninger seemed to get along quite well, with subtle sparks of romance between them. Lu Ninger took particularly good care of Zhao Jingze during his amnesia. This further convinced Zhao Jingze that she was genuinely kind-hearted, not swayed by wealth or status. I can't help but marvel at Zhao Jingze's charmed life. Before me, his grandparents and parents provided him with a life of luxury where he never wanted for anything. After his family passed away, I took over managing the company as his wife, leaving him free to play the domineering CEO without a care. Now with Lu Ninger by his side, she pampers him with such tender devotion that he doesn't lift a finger, truly living the privileged life of a young master. It wasn't long before I heard the news that these two had become lovers. Zhao Jingze had always been naturally gifted with sweet talk. He reassured Lu Ninger, even though I've lost my memories, my love for you will never change, not even if my memories return. Knowing they were in the honeymoon phase, I decided to leave them be for now, because now that I've inherited the entire Zhao family fortune, my worthless father and stepmother are practically drooling with envy. My father kept pestering me to come home for dinner, so to put an end to it once and for all, I finally made time to visit. At the dinner table, with exaggerated fatherly concern, he said to me, Luoxue, eat more, you've had a tough time lately. I know Jing's passing hit you hardest, but don't worry, you can always lean on your old man. After all these years, I've long since realized how unreliable that leaning would be. Ever since Mom died and he remarried, that house stopped being my home. What else can I trust these days, if not money that never betrays me? Watching me silently eat and drink without engaging, my father continued unperturbed. The Zhao family's vast enterprises might overwhelm you. If managing them becomes too much, your father can shoulder some responsibilities. And your brother, he truly admires his elder sister. Now that he's working at the company, you could show him around more. Siblings should always support each other in the long run. I looked up and replied, thank you, father. Though managing the Zhao enterprises is demanding, I find deep satisfaction in the work. There's no need to trouble yourself. As for others, I don't have the patience to play along with their charades. Heartwarming family dramas were never my scene, were they? My stepmother said resentfully, your husband's dead, and you have no children. Who else can you rely on but your own family? This household raised you for over 20 years. Is it too much to ask for a share? I shot her an icy glare. Nothing but naked ambition burned in that woman's eyes. This was the first time she'd personally come asking for favors since I got married. Normally she'd just egg my father on to speak for her. Pity I never agreed to a single request, I said coldly. The lesson about self-reliance being better than depending on others, I learned that right here at home. Let me make this clear, the Zhao family assets aren't yours to claim. Don't even dream about it. My father grew frantic. Why must you draw such hard lines? Those are matters for the elders. Your brother has nothing to do with this. Shouldn't you at least give him a leg up? I retorted. No way. Mom only has me as her daughter. I don't acknowledge any so-called brother. The family business only passes to sons, not daughters. You put your son straight into management after college without any grassroots experience. His incompetence has cost the company dearly. You just want me to clean up his mess, don't you? That's why you're suddenly playing the loving father card. But Dad, have you ever considered, do you even deserve this? My father slammed his chopsticks down, his face darkening as he said, you've grown bold, daring to speak to me like this. I chuckled. No need to get worked up. You'll have plenty more reasons to be angry later. I'm done eating. So I'll take my leave. Enjoy your meal. With that, I set down my chopsticks and walked away. My father was screaming obscenities behind me, calling me an ungrateful daughter. I couldn't help but sneer. He truly couldn't read the room at all. My parents' story in a nutshell, a wealthy beauty getting taken advantage of by a social climbing gold digger. The devastation broke my mother, who died heartbroken, leaving me to endure years of misery in that household. Now I finally have the power to set things right for her. Winter is coming, time for the Shen Empire to collapse. Perhaps it's the love filled with hardships that truly leaves an indelible mark on one's heart. Zhao Jingze now finds himself in a love triangle situation. Lu Ninger has another suitor named Xia Yan. Xia Yan's family owns a resort in Lu Ninger's hometown, making him somewhat of a wealthy heir. 5. In the past, Zhao Jingze wouldn't have given someone of that financial status a second glance, but now, stripped of his memories and possessions, this 6-foot-tall man had to rely on Lu Ninger for survival. There was simply no comparison. Before Xia Yan appeared, Zhao's courtship of Lu consisted solely of sweet nothings, not a penny spent. Convinced that love tainted by money couldn't be genuine, during their daily routine, while Lu Ninger was doing household chores, Zhao Jingze would sit idly by, watching her work and praising what a virtuous woman she was, claiming any man who married her would be truly blessed. After returning from work exhausted, Lu Ninger still had to drag her weary body to clean up the mess Zhao Jingze had left around the house all day. Spoiled by privilege, Zhao Jingze was the type who wouldn't lift a finger even if an oil bottle tipped over, leaving Lu Ninger to wait on him hand and foot. Zhao Jingze saw this as a test of true love. Convinced it was all part of his grand trial, after Xia Yan came into the picture, everything changed. Lu Ninger finally experienced what it felt like to be genuinely pursued and cherished. Xia Yan would bring Lu Ninger flowers and gifts, and whenever she seemed tired, he'd say tenderly, let me handle this, go rest for a bit and grab some water. I got you some snacks to tide you over. Don't go starving yourself. Honestly, it's hard to put into words, compared to others. Zhao Jingze's courtship efforts seemed rather half-hearted. Lu Ninger grew weary of catering to Zhao Jingze, who just watched her bustle about without lifting a finger to help. She took the initiative, showing him Zhao Jingze's photo to jog his memory, hoping he'd recall their luxurious life at the Zhao mansion. Zhao Jingze froze, feigning a headache and memory loss. In truth, he should have been more eager than anyone to return to the Zhao family and resume his role as the crown prince of Beijing's elite circle. In his previous life, he had stashed away money in a secret card, withdrawing from it whenever he needed cash during his staged death, so he was living quite comfortably. Moreover, I collapsed from exhaustion 4 years after his fake death. After my death, he effortlessly took over everything I left behind. Back then, I'd just finalized a major government contract that would secure the Zhao Group's prosperity for the next 2 decades, so he and Lu Ninger reaped the benefits without lifting a finger, allowing him to maintain his spoiled heir lifestyle. This time around, I had his death certificate processed. Every cent under his name was transferred to my accounts, so he was truly penniless now. He had no choice but to turn to his 2 childhood friends, according to the private investigator's report. Zhao Jingze approached Xing Heng and Lu Zhao to discuss his return to the Zhao family. This happened much earlier than in his previous life, when he'd been living comfortably abroad with no urgency to return. In this lifetime, he experienced what it truly means to be penniless and finally understood the importance of money. Even the most ordinary daily necessities of life depend on money. I heard the recording of their conversation. Zhao Jingze said, "Ninger has passed my test. What we share is true love. I plan to bring her back to the Zhao family. As for Xin Luoxue, I'll divorce her and give her a substantial settlement." "Oh, I'm so grateful to you." Sarcastic tone. "You've contributed nothing to Zhao Corporation. I've been carrying everything. And now you waltz in trying to push me out." Zhao Jingze is truly heartless, Xing Heng said. "Jingze, this is complicated. The entire internet thinks you're dead. What's more, your wife obtained a death certificate. Your household registration has been cancelled." Zhao Jingze exclaimed anxiously. "What? How could you just let her do this?" Lu Zhao said with a bitter smile. "We told her we'd handle your funeral arrangements, but as your wife insisting on accompanying you to the end, we couldn't rightfully refuse." Xing Heng added, "Who knew she'd act so fast? By the time we found out, your death certificate was already processed." "I've been negotiating a collaboration with Lu Zhao's father's company recently, with Lu Zhao shadowing the process to learn." Then, he said to Zhao Jingze, "Jingze, since you're already dead to this world, why don't you just stay by Lu Ninger's side? After all, you're chasing true love. Love conquers all. With your devotion, you too can live on air." Zhao Jingze couldn't believe his childhood friend would stab him in the back, and began hurling insults at them. In the end, even Xing Heng stopped speaking up for him. "I remember the Xing family hit some business troubles recently. I actually referred several clients to help them pull through. Bite the hand that feeds you." And Xing Heng completely turned against Zhao Jingze. Neither of Zhao Jingze's childhood friends supported his return. "After all, since I took power, I've shown considerable favor to their family businesses. They can't bear to lose such advantageous growth opportunities." Perfect. Zhao Jingze lost his status, his fortune, his friends, left with nothing but his own shadow. That's so satisfying. As for the Shin family, my father's been calling me non-stop lately, even trying to visit me at the office. That day, he finally managed to barge into my presence. His eyes were bloodshot, his expression utterly disheveled. Hunched over, he pleaded ingratiatingly, "Luoxue, please help your father. The company's cash flow has dried up. Without fresh capital, it'll go bankrupt. This is my life's work. I can't just watch it go to waste." I shook my head and said, "Dad, you're at retirement age anyway. Why not just step down?" His eyes suddenly lit up with desperate hope as he urged, "Luoxue, why don't you acquire Shin Corporation? I'd rather see you take it over than let others benefit. Just give me a portion of Zhao Group's shares in return." My father spoke with feverish excitement, his expression almost fanatical, as if already envisioning his future as a Zhao Group shareholder after my agreement. Had my mother seen his desperate ambition sooner, she wouldn't have been deceived to death. I said coldly, "Don't think I don't know this is your precious son's handiwork. Bankruptcy is bankruptcy. I'll pay child support on time as required, but don't expect anything else." My father coaxed, "How about this? I'll include your name in my will, but your brother won't inherit more than you." Shaking my head with bitter laughter, I replied, "Keep your pathetic scraps for your golden boy." "Dad, what's bankruptcy? Didn't Mom watch helplessly as you devoured her family's fortune? Now it's your turn to taste what she endured." He pointed at me in shock, exclaiming, "What? You're the one who brought the company to this state." I retorted, "This is payback for abandoning your first wife and neglecting me all these years, though honestly, you've still got it better than Mom did." at least you're not dealing with a cheating spouse. He suddenly raised his voice. Shen Luoxue, I'm your father. Parents can do no wrong, even if I've failed you. This rebellion is unforgivable. I had him escorted out. After the Shen family went bankrupt, they moved into a modest 3-bedroom apartment. My father had to re-enter the job market in middle age. He took a shortcut in his youth by marrying into wealth. Skipping 2 decades of struggle, now karma's come collecting. Out of brotherly loyalty, Lu Zhao couldn't help but dip into his own pocket and hand Zhao Jingze a debit card with 500,000 yuan. For someone with Zhao Jingze's spending habits, that money might not even last a day. According to Lu Zhao, Zhao Jingze disliked mixing romance with money. Besides, Lu Ninger was a proud, independent girl. This sum would allow him to live quite comfortably. With the money, Zhao Jingze built a house for Lu Ninger's family in the countryside. And the couple began discussing marriage plans. Weddings in Lu Ninger's hometown were informal affairs, no household registration documents required, just a simple village registration. 5. After all, how could Zhao Jingze, suffering from amnesia, possibly produce ID cards or household papers? Fortunately, this holds no legal weight, otherwise, he'd be in hot water for bigamy alone. Before long, Zhao Jingze ran out of money and went crawling back to Lu Zhao for more, ever since their last fallout. Zhao Jingze had been nursing a grudge against these childhood friends. Before executing his fake death plan, he'd consulted these 2 buddies. They'd sworn up and down to cover for him with me. Now he's stuck without a home to return to. Even his spending freedom is gone. Zhao Jingze was furious, blaming these 2 for failing to properly advise me, which let things spiral out of control. Otherwise, he'd still be playing the privileged Beijing socialite back at the Zhao family estate. I know Zhao Jingze hasn't given up yet. No sane person would walk away from such a massive family fortune. He was too naive, believing I was hopelessly in love and would safeguard the Zhao Corporation for him. By the time he wins his beauty's heart, I'll have taken the company to new heights, just in time for him to discard me and reap the rewards. Pity for him. I'm now Niuhuru Luoxue, here to avenge Shen Luoxue's betrayed devotion from our past life, to prevent Zhao Jingze's resurgence. I've instructed my private investigator to monitor his every move closely. Thank goodness I stayed vigilant. Zhao Jingze would stop at nothing to reclaim his fortune. He squeezed another million out of Lu Zhao, not for himself, but to hire a hitman to eliminate me, the wife standing in the way of his wealth. The sheer malice in his expression chilled me to the bone. If he wants me dead, then he'll have to die first. I invited Lu Zhao and Jingheng for tea, after sitting in silence for 10 minutes. I still hadn't mentioned why I'd asked them here. Lu Zhao finally broke the silence, hesitantly asking, "Sis, what did you want to talk about?" Setting down my teacup with a humorless smile, I asked, "Is there something you 2 aren't telling me?" Jingheng feigned confusion and asked, "Why do you ask that?" I said, "For example, how is Zhao Jingze doing now?" Their expressions instantly changed, and Lu Zhao stammered, "Jingze, hasn't he already passed away? Why are you bringing him up?" I smiled bitterly, still not telling the truth. "Are you?" Lu Zhao avoided my gaze and said, "I'm sorry." Jingheng took a deep breath and said, "Sister-in-law, I'm sorry, we shouldn't have helped Jingze deceive you. He's still alive, and he's with his true love." Lu Ninger, tears streamed down my face. I knew my instincts weren't wrong. He's still alive, but does he hate me that much, that he would fake his own death just to leave me and be with that woman? Jingheng comforted her. "Sister-in-law, don't take it to heart. If he'd rather abandon everything for someone else, he never truly valued you. You should focus on yourself now. Look how the Zhao enterprise has thrived under your sole leadership. Chart your own path. Let the short-sighted ones live with regret." I was mildly surprised. Jingheng and Zhao Jingze's brotherly bond wasn't as genuine as it seemed. On reflection, Zhao Jingze had always acted like a tyrant since childhood, leveraging his family status to command deference from everyone. Who could tell how much of his childhood friends' loyalty stemmed from genuine affection, and how much from calculated family alliances? Currently, I oversee major corporate decisions. For mutual benefit, I've initiated a major collaboration between the Jing and Lu families. Jingheng and Lu Zhao knew full well that causing this deal to collapse would cost them their standing within their respective families. Their decision to pledge allegiance to me was therefore perfectly understandable. I asked them to arrange a meeting with Zhao Jingze. "I'm cutting all ties with him." With a broken voice, I confessed, "Truth is, I've learned someone hired a hitman to kill me, and that someone is Zhao Jingze." After exchanging glances, they agreed without hesitation. In the end, they scheduled my meeting with Zhao Jingze on a yacht. Those trust fund kids always fancy maritime escapades. Zhao Jingze's time is up. I'll just see him off one last time. Zhao Jingze savored the sea breeze he hadn't felt in ages. taking a leisurely sip of red wine. He sighed, remarking that this was the life he was meant to live. I clapped my hands and said, Zhao Jingzi, long time no see. Haven't been doing too well lately, have you? Must have been ages since you last enjoyed this pampered rich boy lifestyle. Zhao Jingzi jumped in shock. You, Xing Heng and Lu Zhao were supposed to meet me. Why are you here? Did they betray me? I chuckled darkly. Don't blame others, Zhao Jingzi, you're no saint yourself. Zhao Jingzi declared war on me. Shen Luoxue, you must have known my plans all along. That's why you cut off all my escape routes. Mark my words, I'm returning to the Zhao family to reclaim what's rightfully mine. I nodded calmly. But the world already thinks you're dead. There's no place for you there anymore. Zhao Jingzi fumed. Didn't you claim to love me? Then why set me up like this? I replied coldly. You betrayed me first, an eye for an eye. Don't fret. Zhao Group will always belong to the Zhao family. Unlike my father, I'm not after your legacy, but make no mistake, while Zhao Group is Shen Luoxue's domain now, it'll never be Zhao Jingzi's property. Zhao Jingzi gulped down liquor and hissed through clenched teeth. Don't celebrate too soon. Money means nothing if you're not alive to spend it. Empty threats were all he had left. Frankly, he might not even walk out of here tonight. I took one last, long look at him. He was alone on the yacht, drowning his sorrows, completely wasted and leaning against the railing. As I turned to leave, I thought I heard the sound of something heavy falling into the water behind me. I didn't look back. He wasn't worth my pity. Once I was back at the villa, I couldn't help but relax. Xing Heng and Lu Zhao certainly didn't let me down. For the sake of their respective families' futures, they chose to sacrifice their brotherhood with Zhao Jingzi to curry favor with me. 5. They feared Zhao Jingzi's return to reclaim everything more than I did. After all, it was their incompetence that would inevitably draw his wrath, and I, in turn, significantly boosted their influence within their families. The yacht's railing had been tampered with. As former close friends, they knew Zhao Jingzi's habits inside out, so they'd anticipated that Zhao would lean against the railing for sea breeze when drunk. From that moment on, Zhao Jingzi was truly a dead man. As for Lu Ninger, she waited anxiously at home, but Zhao Jingzi never returned. She secretly went to investigate near the Zhao Corporation, but heard no news of Zhao Jingzi's return. Disappointed, she went back alone. She eventually accepted the courtship of Xia Yan, the wealthy heir who had pursued her before, but just a few years into the marriage, her partner cheated and forced her to leave with nothing. She returned alone to the countryside. Her current situation is worlds apart from her past life as that money-drenched socialite. As for me, my career is now thriving, and the Zhao Group is flourishing under my leadership. My future shall be glorious beyond measure. I've finally severed ties with that tormented Shen Luoxue of my past life. Promotions, wealth, and widowhood. This heaven-sent fortune has finally arrived. The sun shines bright, my future is radiant, and my greatest blessings are yet to come. Story 2. My grandfather wields immense influence, and I'm betrothed to all 4 heirs of the great families. In my past life, I married my beloved Zhang Yihe, only for him to perish in a car crash on our wedding day. I remained unmarried my entire life, devoting myself to protecting both his family and their legacy. In my twilight years, I discovered he'd built a large family with the impoverished student I'd sponsored. After catching him red-handed, he drugged and kidnapped me. When I came to, he was scheming with my 3 fiancés to squeeze the last drop of value from me. Zhang Yihe, your stubborn choice forced me to fake my death and live in hiding all these years. Everything I've become is because of you. Now you'll pay for your willfulness. Gu Bo, you're one tough bastard. I orchestrated 2 car crashes, yet you still managed to cheat death. Su Heng, the Gao family has deep roots in China. Sell her overseas, harvest her organs, and let her die in a foreign land. Sun Shua, what a shame not to witness her death firsthand. Let's hand her to our sworn enemy and have them finish her off. Zhou Ting, the impoverished student I sponsored, walked in and stabbed me to death. 4 men said, well done. Someone like him deserved to die long ago. Afterward, they dismembered me and fed my remains to stray dogs. When I opened my eyes again, Grandpa asked who I'd marry. A shiver ran down my spine instantly. Grandpa looked at me with concern. Tong Tong, what's wrong? I threw myself into Grandpa's arms and whined, Grandpa, I'm still too young to get married. Grandpa stroked my hair and said, I'm getting old and can't do much anymore. I'll only rest easy knowing someone's there to take care of you. All 4 heirs from prominent families fell for Zhou Ting, the scholarship student I sponsored. Since they've tried to kill me multiple times, I might as well pick my arch-rival instead. Grandpa, none of those 4 are the right one for me. Tong Tong, have you found someone you like? Not exactly, but I think Li Ziming seems pretty decent. Grandpa burst into laughter. That Li boy would be over the moon if he knew you chose him. Mad. Absolutely insane, if he's not crazy already. I'll drive him mad. The butler hurried in. Master, young mistress, Zhang Yihe and Zhou Ting have arrived. Zhang Yihe, what's he doing here? Zhang Yihe and Zhou Ting walked in hand. The grandfather, being experienced, immediately saw through their act and slammed the table in anger. Zhang boy, what do you mean by this? Zhang Yihe maintained his haughty expression without bowing his head despite his grandfather's anger, while Zhou Ting blushed demurely. I was reborn, seeing them like this. I could pretty much guess what was going on. Grandfather Gao Yuetong, I came here today to make one thing clear. I won't be marrying Yuetong. My heart belongs to Tingting, and I'll marry no one else in this lifetime. Her words confirmed my suspicion. He had been reborn, Zhang Yihe, as the eldest grandson of the Zhang family bound to me by childhood betrothal. Do you dare break this contract unilaterally on behalf of your clan? Zhang Yihe wore a look of utter disdain. Convinced I still loved him desperately, Gao Yuetong, we're fundamentally different. No matter how high you climb, you'll never be worthy of me. Grandpa wanted to teach him a lesson, but I calmed him down. Grandpa, Zhang Yihe and the student we're sponsoring are perfect for each other. Let's make this love story happen. Now that the Zhang family broke the agreement unilaterally, we'll confront old man Zhang. Whatever price he puts on his own life, that's what we'll demand. Since Grandpa saved old man Zhang's life, it's only fair for him to set his own price. Grandpa chuckled with delight. That's my girl. You've got the same fire I had in my prime. Grandpa, I'm not following your example. You just saved a bunch of ungrateful snakes. Grandpa's laughter grew even heartier. Zhang Yihe gritted his teeth in fury. Zhou Ting's eyes welled up with tears. Brother Zhang, this is all my fault. If you hadn't fallen for me, you wouldn't have been humiliated today. Zhang Yihe's eyes instantly filled with tenderness. Tingting, you're too kind. Loving you is the greatest blessing of my life. I sneered. Zhang Yihe, so you're actually dating Zhou Ting now? Zhang Yihe replied. Gao Yuetong, in this lifetime, my heart belongs only to Tingting. I pulled up my payment QR code. Since Zhou Ting is your woman now, you should repay all the money I've been supporting her with these years. Zhang Yihe, if you love Zhou Ting so much, why let another man support your woman? People might think your family went bankrupt. Zhou Ting cooed. Brother Zhang, Zhou Ting's worked like magic. Zhang Yihe's ego soared as he scanned the payment QR code, only to have his smug grin wiped clean when he saw the 5 million yuan price tag. Gao Yuetong, are you out of your damn mind? 5 million. Zhou Ting couldn't meet Zhang Yihe's gaze out of guilt. I sneered. Zhang Yihe, as the heir of the Zhang family, can't even afford to keep your woman. Zhang Yihe retorted. Gao Yuetong, I see your game, trying to pressure me with 5 million. Don't even dream about it. I instructed the butler to print out Zhou Ting's expenditure records from recent years. The ledger meticulously documented every expense, all those jewelry pieces, handbags, and evening gowns Zhang Yihe had seen with his own eyes. There was no room for denial. Zhou Ting's eyes reddened. Sister Yuetong, I admit it was wrong of me to let Brother Zhang fall for me, but those items were gifts from you. How can you demand payment now? You knew my family's financial struggles yet chose to put me in this impossible position. I remained silent. Activating my phone's voice recorder. Sister Yuetong, this necklace matches my dress perfectly. It's only a little over 1 million. Please buy it for me. I'll pay you back double when I start making money. Sister Yuetong, these earrings are limited edition and so sparkly. They don't really go with your dress though. Why don't you just give them to me? I can even pay you back if you insist. Sister Yuetong, Zhou Ting always comes up with all sorts of excuses to sweet-talk me into buying things she wants. A flicker of panic flashed in Zhou Ting's eyes. Zhang Yihe gritted his teeth and scanned the payment code. I beamed with delight as the 5 million hit my account. Grandpa, I plan to use this 5 million to sponsor more underprivileged students. 5 million, that's nowhere near enough. I'll get the money from old man Zhang and give it all to you. How much will Grandpa Zhang give? Depends on how much the old man values his life. Grandpa and I had a pleasant conversation. Zhang Yihe froze in place, mistaking my calm demeanor for forced composure. Zhou Ting, seeing the money returned, coyly linked arms with Zhang Yihe. Sister Yuetong, Zhang and I are getting engaged next month. You simply must come. In my past life, I'd loved Zhang Yihe deeply. This treatment would have shattered me. I hope they get the hell out of my life for good. Fine. Congratulations on your engagement. Zhang Yihe didn't expect that reaction from me. That's it. What else did you expect? Zhang Yihe stared at me speechless for what felt like ages until Grandpa, unable to bear the awkwardness, signaled the butler to show him out. Never having been treated this way before, Zhang Yihe was left utterly humiliated on the spot. The butler didn't mince words. He physically shoved him out the door. Zhou Ting tried to resist, but a maid thrust a faded backpack into her arms and pushed her toward the exit. Miss Zhou, here are your belongings. Please take them. The gate slowly closed before their eyes. Grandfather slammed the table and stood up in anger. Who do they think they are? I'll have my men take care of them all. I grabbed Grandpa's hand and teased, "Silly Grandpa, slapping the table only hurts your own hand, you heartless little brat. I save my heart for those who care. They don't deserve it." I pulled out my phone and saw Jean-Yves' flashy social media post announcing his engagement in a month. I gave it a thumbs up. Tong Tong. Are you out of your mind with anger? Do you think Grandpa Jean would actually agree to let Iha and Ting get engaged? You're hoping that, Grandpa sighed. As expected, his granddaughter only had eyes for Iha. We're going to the Zhangs right now to demand the money. I dragged Grandpa along, terrified the cash would vanish if we arrived too late. Ting Zhou was never one to behave properly. In my past life, I'd repeatedly cleaned up her scandals. I needed to secure maximum benefits before Iha became permanently tied to her. The Zhang family, old Master Zhang warmly received Grandpa upon his arrival, but nearly fainted from rage upon hearing what Zhang Iha had done. I couldn't care less. This whole family conspired with Zhang Iha to deceive me in my past life. Now I'm just collecting some interest. A single visit to the Zhang's place netted me an extra 100 million. This trip was definitely worth it. Grandpa saw my fox-like grin and knew I'd truly let go. Tong Tong, what's so funny? I'm laughing because Zhang Iha's golden days are over. After making old Zhang lose face, Iha will face the music. His heir position is doomed. Zhou Ting will ditch him for greener pastures, and karma's coming for him. Zhou Ting's scandal broke a few days later. Explicit photos of Zhou Ting with a wealthy heir began circulating online. Though slightly blurred, those who knew Zhou Ting could recognize her instantly. Many people expressed skepticism. Is high society really this messy these days? Absolutely chaotic. I heard Zhang Iha broke off his engagement with Gao Yuetong to marry Zhou Ting instead. Zhang Iha really hit the jackpot, marrying the town bicycle. The Zhang ancestors must be rolling in their graves. This is just the beginning. Before Zhou Ting's scandal could be contained, another wave of controversy hit. Photos surfaced showing Zhou Ting renting out entire venues overseas. 4 men were seen kneeling to serve Zhou Ting as she reveled like a queen surrounded by admirers. Zhou Ting's really living it up. 1 woman with 4 men. Poverty really limits my imagination. With Zhou Ting's wild lifestyle, who knows how many kids she's had? What's so surprising? The real fun begins when she gets pregnant and no one knows who the father is. I watched the drama unfold, savoring it alone. Zhang Yi had charged in like a wild beast. Gao Yuetong, his roar came straight at me. I didn't flinch. When he went for my throat, I offered it willingly. His roar had barely begun when another furious shout erupted. Zhang Iha. Both Grandpa Zhang and my grandfather emerged from the study just in time to witness the scene, before I could lift a finger. Grandpa Zhang's cane came crashing down on Zhang Yi's leg. My grandfather rushed over and punched Zhang Yi square in the face. Young as Zhang Yi was, he stood no chance against the old man. A single punch knocked out 2 of his teeth. Blood filled his mouth, his legs battered by Grandpa Zhang, yet he clenched his teeth and stubbornly held his ground. Seeing his wretched state still didn't satisfy me. I threw myself into Grandpa's arms, sobbing uncontrollably. Old man Zhang. Look what your grandson has done. How could you people hurt my Tong Tong? She's so innocent and kind-hearted. Zhou Ting rushed in from outside and threw herself at Zhang Yi. Brother Zhang, don't blame Sister Yuetong. This must be some misunderstanding. With Zhou Ting's support, Zhang Yi struggled to his feet. Ting Ting, I know you're hurting inside, but don't be so naive. Gao Yuetong framed you. This was all her doing. The words made no sense at first, but I quickly figured out what was going on. Grandpa and old Zhang had seen it all in their years. They understood the situation immediately. Gubo burst in, spotted both grandpas present, then pointed at me and snarled, Gao Yuetong, enough. Zhou Ting and Zhang Yi are truly in love. Is smearing her name really that entertaining? Su Heng walked in, casually greeting Grandpa Gao and Grandpa Zhang before saying with a slouching attitude, Gao Yuetong, you've really crossed the line this time. Staring at these 3 men, the same ones who'd murdered me alongside Zhou Ting in my past life, I felt waves of hatred churning inside me. I immediately called the police. Zhang Yi, Gu Bo, and Su Heng think I've lost my mind. Zhou Ting got cold feet. Unexpectedly, the online narrative flipped again before the cops arrived. Those compromising photos originally featuring Zhou Ting were shockingly replaced with mine. Staring at those photos and vicious comments on my phone, I demanded a formal investigation. They really went for the jugular. 5 people ganged up to ruin me. In your dreams, the Gao family stocks plummeted, sending Grandpa into a furious rage. Zhang Yi and Zhou Ting flaunt their affection publicly at every opportunity. Netizens gush about her purity, calling them a match made in heaven. Major media outlets are flooded with photos of their embraces. Watching the escalating situation online, I seized the opportunity to buy shares of my own company. I patented all the jewelry I designed over the years and auctioned off my paintings, then donated all the proceeds to charity. A few days later, I received the engagement invitation from Zhang Yihe and Zhou Ting. They moved up their engagement. Zhang Yihe is going all out to self-destruct while trying to whitewash Zhou Ting, oblivious to being dragged into the mud. As I entered the banquet, I felt countless mocking gazes upon me, having lived through worse in my past life. I've long been immune to this sort of thing. How does Gao Yuetong even dare to show her face here? Who would have thought? Gao Yuetong always seemed so aloof, but she'd do anything for Zhang Yihe. I heard old Master Gao was so angry he got hospitalized, yet she still has the nerve to attend her ex's engagement party. She's probably here to crash the wedding, isn't she? Amidst the crowd's jeers, Zhou Ting appeared arm in arm with Zhang Yihe. Sister Yuetong, you're here, Sister Yuetong. A girl should always maintain her dignity and self-respect, lest others find fault and leave her unable to hold her head high for life. Unfazed, I replied with a smile, Zhou Ting, it's your engagement day today, your parents must be on their way, right? Zhou Ting's face turned pale, a flicker of panic flashing in her eyes. I've already sent people to pick up your parents, since cars can't reach the mountains, I dispatched a helicopter instead. Seeing this, Zhang Yihe's expression darkened as he grabbed my wrist. Gao Yuetong, that's enough. Not enough, the best is yet to come. The crowd began whispering among themselves. The surprises I have in store for them are just beginning. Someone carried in a painting. I lifted the cover to reveal the very artwork that had won an international award just days before. Zhou Ting doubled down on her accusation. Yuetong, did you purchase my award-winning piece? Are you certain this is your work? Absolutely, this won first prize at the exhibition in America. I chuckled. Glad you admit it's your work. I projected the recently auctioned artwork onto the large screen. What a coincidence, a piece I created 3 years ago happens to be nearly identical to yours. Funny you should mention that. My grandfather believes I have a natural talent for painting, and I'll be filing for design patents once my works are complete. You're the scholarship student I sponsor, living under my roof. Seeing my works is no surprise, but stealing my flawed paintings to exhibit them, that's unacceptable. Enough games, time to reel in the net. I won't waste another second on this Photoshop nonsense. They think I'm scrambling to clear my name, but little do they know, I'm reshuffling the deck. Gubo stepped forward and laid into me without hesitation. Gao Yuetong, you're truly despicable. For Zhang Yihe's sake, you'd stoop to any low to frame Ting. I glared coldly at Gubo. Are you implying Zhou Ting isn't the scholarship student I've been sponsoring? Zhang Yihe is engaged to me. He's fooling around with the very student I'm supporting, then tries to smear my reputation. Shouldn't I defend myself? The large screen displayed a slideshow of my painting inspirations and preliminary sketches. Zhang Yihe snatched my phone and smashed it on the ground. The scrolling screen froze, revealing a compromising shot of him and Zhou Ting entangled in a compromising split position in the art studio. Gao Yuetong, that's the pot calling the kettle black. As his words hung in the air, murmurs of disbelief rippled through the crowd. At first Zhang Yihe thought the crowd was on his side, but their reactions and the damning evidence on the big screen left him momentarily stunned. Zhou Ting loved showing off her slender, flexible waist with a belly button piercing, and her signature move was doing the splits when aroused. That distinctive pose made her recognizable. Many had seen her belly ring during pool parties. That move's insanely hard to pull off, but Zhou Ting actually nailed it. Ha ha ha. Zhang Yihe had dumped Gao Yuetong just to hop on that train. Someone's taking a huge loss this time. Another voice exclaimed in shock. Quick, check your phones. Everyone scrambled for their phones and saw something even more explosive. Zhou Ting wasn't just entangled with Zhang Yihe, she'd also ensnared Gubo and Su Heng. Humiliation, absolute humiliation. Zhou Ting's entire body turned ice cold, as if plunged into a frozen abyss. When she reached for Zhang Yihe's hand, he coldly shook her off, leaving her weeping with heartbreaking beauty. Brother Zhang, this isn't true. Gao Yuetong framed me out of jealousy. Zhang Yihe remained expressionless and silent. Gubo and Su Heng, who had publicly supported Zhou Ting earlier, were visibly shaken. Each had believed himself to be Zhou Ting's one and only to discover they'd been serviced by the same woman in identical ways. A humiliation worse than being stripped naked in public. Some people just love to stir up trouble. What's all the commotion about? Li Ziming walked in from outside, saw the big screen, and whistled. Zhang Yihe, didn't know you were such a player. The remark sparked a wave of raucous laughter. Gubo and Su Heng were already overwhelmed, their anger at being deceived burning even hotter. Zhang Yihe's face turned ashen as he ordered the large screen to be shut off. Zhou Ting never expected things to spiral out of control. When she tried begging for Zhang Yi's forgiveness, he coldly shoved her away, sending her crashing to the ground unprepared. Ting ting, the familiar voice made Zhou Ting's face instantly pale. Soon, a plainly dressed middle-aged couple entered the room. Zhou Ting tried to hide, but her photo remained on the large screen. With just one glance, the parents recognized their daughter. Mr. Zhou stormed over and slapped Zhou Ting twice across the face. You've utterly disappointed me, Mr. Zhou said coldly before turning on his heel and walking away. Mrs. Zhou never imagined her pride and joy would stoop to such disgraceful behavior. They had arrived brimming with pride. Their daughter graduated from a prestigious university and landed an enviable marriage. With nothing but bright days ahead, this is utterly humiliating. I recognize Mr. and Mrs. Zhou. What are they doing here? I was just talking earlier. I didn't actually send anyone to pick them up. Who did this? Is it Sun Shua? Gu Bo and Su Heng showed up to support Zhou Ting, but he was conspicuously absent. He's nowhere to be seen in those compromising online photos either. I know he photoshopped Zhou Ting's pictures. What's in it for him to bring her parents into this? Soon, another batch of compromising photos went viral online. More explicit photos of Sun Shua and Zhou Ting surfaced. The crowd gasped in collective shock. I overheard whispers nearby, but when I turned to look, someone blocked my view before I could see clearly. Recognizing Li Ziming, she tried to push past him for a better look, but he stood rigid as a wooden post, refusing to budge. Just then, Officer Big Hat arrived on the scene. Zhou Ting, Zhang Yihe, Gu Bo, and Su Heng were taken away. This marked the second occurrence. The first time, they still stepped forward to comfort Zhou Ting, but this time, they glared at her like she was their sworn enemy. The engagement banquet ended abruptly before it even properly began. I'd just gotten home when someone anonymously sent me a flood of messages. Opening them, I found every single one was about Zhang Yihe. Every message is a ticking time bomb. Just one could bring the Zhang family to ruin. I quickly checked the 100 million compensation I just received. Thank God I demanded the money in time. Ding dong, a friend request. I recognized who it was from the profile picture, ignored it, and tossed my phone aside. Grandpa came out of the study and, seeing me like this, tapped his cane firmly on the floor. Who's upset our Tong Tong? Nothing. The Zhangs are about to go under. Good thing we got our money back in time, or it'd be down the drain. Oh, seems our Tong Tong has some inside information. Not really. I didn't know who this person was or their intentions, so I wasn't about to walk into a trap. Grandpa didn't press further and said with a chuckle, Tong Tong, that Li family boy found out. He's coming tomorrow to propose. Grandpa, did you tell him? I'd completely forgotten about this. Not yet. He's in a hurry with the marriage proposal. Must be trying to help you out. My engagement to the heir of the 4 great families was never a secret. With those photos circulating online now, Grandpa worries about the backlash. Li Ziming's proposal timing couldn't be more considerate. I slept fitfully that night, haunted by restless dreams. It's mostly about Li Ziming. He has a habit of crushing people's last hope. His appearance at this moment, could those indecent photos online be related to him? What about Zhou Ting's parents? Woke up to find it was almost noon, was about to doze off again when I heard faint noises downstairs. Oh no, Li Ziming said he'd come to propose today. Could that be him? I quickly washed my face and hurried downstairs to find Li Ziming playing chess with Grandpa, while Grandpa Li and his parents stood watching. Such a heartwarming scene. It's been years since the house felt this lively. I tiptoed downstairs and had barely steadied myself when Li Ziming glanced up at me. That look sent a shiver down my spine. Was he actually serious about this? Seeing the game was lost, Grandpa scattered the chess pieces. Enough playing, let's get down to business. Li Ziming immediately stood up and bowed respectfully. Hello, Grandpa Gao. Grandpa Li sat across from him and remarked, Old Gao, you've raised such a fine granddaughter. My rascal grandson here has been smitten with her for years. Ha ha ha. Grandpa laughed heartily. To be frank with you, Elder Gao, my grandson has always been rebellious. When he heard you saved 4 old folks to arrange this marriage, he practically wanted to shove me into the same pit. You'd better save me too while you're at it. The old man spoke cheerfully, sitting beside Grandpa. I didn't believe a word they said, but as long as Grandpa was happy, I'd play the role of the obedient granddaughter. The 2 families shared a meal together, and just like that, my engagement to Li Ziming was settled. The engagement and wedding plans felt rushed, but I held my tongue, waiting to discuss it privately with Grandpa after everyone left. Yet after dinner, Li Ziming unexpectedly pulled me away, claiming there was something urgent. Li Ziming orchestrated a marriage proposal, with all our circle of friends in attendance. Everyone was there except those few who got arrested over indecent photos. Such a grand and lively proposal was something I'd never even dreamed of. I thought this would be my life, nothing wrong with living alone, so this is how it feels to be proposed to on bended knee in public. After Li Ziming's proposal, amid everyone's encouragement, he gently pressed his lips to mine. I tried to push him away, but he whispered pleadingly, "Tong Tong, don't push me away, please." His voice was barely audible, yet it made my heart race. It dawned on me. This must be what it feels like to be truly cherished. Li Ziming gave me a brief, familial peck before pulling away, holding me close. He announced our engagement and wedding dates, engaged and married within a month. Someone's in a real hurry. The Zhang family blew up. The Zhang family had no chance of recovery left. When Zhang Yihe was released, this was the dire situation he faced. I was sound asleep when Zhang Yihe's shouts from downstairs woke me to the news. Zhou Ting emerged to find her parents buried in a landslide during their mountain return. Gu Bo, Su Heng, and Sun Shua emerged only to face disownment. They would never again be heirs to their families. Every single person who ever bullied me got their comeuppance overnight. My thoughts turned to Li Ziming. He's the type who ties up every loose end. No loose threads left behind. Li Ziming sent me a bunch of grinning emojis. When I came downstairs after washing up, the breakfast table was completely empty. "Grandpa, Tong Tong, come sit. Billy Boy said he's bringing your favorite breakfast. This time Grandpa won't be fooled, he's out if he doesn't shape up." As the old man finished speaking, Li Ziming came rushing in with breakfast in both hands. "Grandpa, please, I've been single for ages, don't ruin my chance at love, you little rascal. How old are you to talk about decades of being single?" Decades passed. My heart skipped a beat. Had he been reborn too? Zhang Yihe was reborn for Zhou Ting, but what was his reason for returning? The moment Li Ziming placed a shepherd's purse bun in my bowl, I knew he had truly been reborn. In my past life when I got older, this was exactly my kind of comfort food. Shepherd's purse buns were part of my daily breakfast. One bite and I recognized that familiar taste. "How is it? Made it myself." Li Ziming grinned as he leaned closer. "Your handiwork, decades of practice, could do it blindfolded." Li Ziming produced video evidence, anticipating my skepticism. Li Ziming's gaze held that familiar glint, his smirk mirroring memories from another lifetime. Clenching my teeth in fury, I raised my hand, only for Li to thrust his face forward in challenge. "Bring it on." Humph. I took an aggressive bite of the seasonal tournament bun. Li Ziming sat beside me with this annoyingly smug look. Grandpa watched our interaction, something felt off yet strangely harmonious. As I ate, I observed the scene and knew I'd made the right choice this time. After finishing the meal, I took Li Ziming by the hand and left. "Old man, have you been reborn?" Li Ziming suddenly pulled me into an embrace. Just as I tried to push him away, I felt his tears fall on my neck. "Don't worry, Tong Tong. I avenged you in our past life, and I won't let them get away this time either." "How did you do it?" "Ever since my rebirth, I've been haunted by the memories of my previous death." Hearing Li Ziming say that, I suddenly thought he wasn't so bad after all. After the initial excitement, Li Ziming reverted to his true colors, sitting on the bench with legs crossed, shaking his foot restlessly. Years of rivalry told me he was getting cocky again. Nothing much, just tit for tat. With similar experiences and shared interests, Li Ziming and I grew increasingly close, so much so that the media caught us together and posted it online. Li Ziming and I used to compete for territory and business, but now we've joined forces to seize the advantage. A true power alliance. Time flew by, and with both families' efforts, the engagement day arrived. When our circle learned the wedding was set for just 2 weeks later, close friends teased Li Ziming for being impatient. He just grinned triumphantly. "I've been single for decades, of course I'm anxious about it." His friends teased him again, but Zhang Yi had detected an edge to their jokes. I was touching up my makeup in the dressing room when Zhang Yi came looking for me. Seeing him didn't surprise me. In my past life, I was out there hustling while he was romancing Zhou Ting. After rebirth, he rushed to legitimize Zhou Ting, without me cleaning up her mess. Forget their descendants, they couldn't even save themselves. Seeing their current wretched state brings me immense satisfaction. Tong Tong, we've all been deceived by Li Ziming. Zhang Yihe, what did you just say? Zhang Yihe crouched before me, his gaze burning into mine. His voice came out hoarse, with barely concealed jealousy flickering in his eyes. "I'll be straight with you. I've been reborn. I know everything that's going to happen." I frowned at him, feigning confusion. "You may not believe what I'm saying, but you must remember my words. Li Ziming doesn't love you. He's only after your family's fortune." Li Ziming had someone switch your grandfather's blood pressure medication, causing his hospitalization and death. He was the one who tore us apart in our past life too. After you married him, he abused you daily. Zhang Yihe claimed to be reborn, twisting the truth to trick me into jilting the wedding, just using my Gao family's influence for his comeback. His shamelessness was written all over that disgusting face. As I was about to throw a punch, Li Ziming barged in with a crowd. Li Ziming grabbed Zhang Yihe by the collar and landed a fist, knocking out 4 teeth. With the 2 teeth Grandpa recently lost, his mouth looked like a dark hollow, frankly terrifying. Zhang Yihe snapped back to reality, took a step backward, and retorted defiantly, Li Ziming, don't get cocky. I've told Tong Tong all about your dirty deeds. Tong Tong would never marry an abusive jerk like you. I saw it clearly from the sidelines. Zhang Yihe instinctively recoiled, his eyes brimming with unmistakable fear. That time Zhang Yihe woke me, but when I went downstairs, he'd vanished without a trace. Li Ziming's methods of vengeance in our past life must have been brutal. Even reborn, Zhang Yihe still carries that lingering terror. The thought alone thrills me. Li Ziming walked up beside me and wrapped his arm around my waist. Zhang Yihe, you're absolutely disgusting. While you were engaged to my wife, you were fooling around with that scholarship student she sponsored. Now that your family's bankrupt, you suddenly remember my wife's worth. Trying to ride her coattails for a comeback. Have you no shame? We all move in the same social circles. The Zhang family scandal exploded, with Zhang Yihe being the spark that lit the fuse. People initially thought he got what he deserved, but now he's shamelessly inserting himself into someone else's wedding, causing a scene, utterly disgraceful. Facing the crowd's mockery, Zhang Yihe's face cycled through shades of pale, ashen, and finally livid, a spectacle in itself. Soon enough, he reverted to his shameless, thick-skinned self, utterly unfazed, pointing at several people nearby. Li Qing, your grandfather's study should have a black pipe. That thing's worth 50 million. Now it's probably been sold for just 50,000, hasn't it? Guotian, your family's supermarket is being squeezed by the newly opened Lilai supermarket. Do you know who really owns Lilai? Huang Yi. Your family's international deal was at the signing stage when someone swooped in. Do you know who that was? Zhang Yihe sought to exploit knowledge from his past life to stir public outrage and direct the blame towards Li Ziming. Unfortunately, his past life knowledge was limited to trivial affairs between men and women. When it came to business tactics, he only grasped the surface. What gets published in the media is carefully curated for public consumption. The real inside stories, only a select few ever learn those, contrary to Zhang Yihe's expectations. The 3 named individuals neither flew into a rage nor demanded explanations. They simply charged at him and beat him senseless. They pummeled him while hurling curses. Damn, men who've been with a player queen always turn out to be total losers. At the same time, in different locations, Gu Bo, Su Heng, and Sun Shua were all beaten up by strangers. They left the same message. Damn, men who've been with a player queen always turn out to be total losers. Before the wedding, Zhang Yihe asked to meet me, saying he had something important to tell me, but I ignored him. On the wedding day, as I stepped out of the bridal car, Zhou Ting rushed through the crowd with a knife. Gao Yuetong, you bitch, I'm going to kill you. Loose lips sink ships. Her silence might have worked, but she gave herself away by talking and got caught. The one who caught her was none other than Zhang Yihe. Zhang Yihe seized her, knocked Zhou Ting unconscious with a punch, and carried her away. Everyone witnessed the scene, clueless about what drama was unfolding between them this time. Our wedding proceeded as planned, with Li Ziming flaunting our honeymoon itinerary on social media. The honeymoon period kept us swamped. Between trying for a honeymoon baby and non-stop traveling, Li Ziming was constantly disappearing from sight. The honeymoon ended, leaving Li Ziming with unexpected free time. A peaceful quiet settled around us, undisturbed by outsiders. We played chess, sipped tea, and made plans for our future together. I felt a profound sense of security and happiness unlike anything before. That day at the cocktail party with Li Ziming, I suddenly felt nauseous and started retching. My reaction drew quite a crowd. Fortunately, there was an elderly Chinese medicine practitioner at the event who took my pulse and announced I was pregnant. Li Ziming and I rushed to the hospital for a prenatal checkup, where we were told the baby was developing perfectly. As we were leaving, just when Li Ziming went to get the car, Zhang Yihe suddenly appeared. His sunken eyes and unkempt beard framed a gaze filled with unreadable emotions. Gao Yuetong, only after losing everything did I realize how terribly wrong I was. If given another chance, I'd choose only you. With those words, he walked away. The man struck me as utterly incomprehensible. Does he even realize he was wrong? No, he blames everyone else. What he truly regrets is losing his privileged life. Now he's living like a rat in the shadows, afraid to face the light. Li Ziming arrived quickly by car. Once I got in, Zhang Yihe's appearance was completely forgotten. 2 days later, I saw the news Zhang Yihe had murdered Zhou Ting. She was caught red-handed by the cops while dismembering Zhou Ting's body for stray dogs to devour. Only then did I realize Zhang Yi had truly regretted his actions. He'd recreated the exact tragedy from his past life upon Zhou Ting. But none of this concerns me. With my husband and child, I'm living my happiest life in this lifetime. Several months later, our daughter was born. The household dynamics have shifted. With everyone doting on our daughter, I can focus on my career, without listening. I'm unstoppable in the business world. Business trips are a regular occurrence. The crowd erupted in murmurs, signing contracts until my hand went numb. The business empire kept expanding. I became the Iron Lady in people's eyes, while Li Ziming took on the role of supportive spouse, and our daughter became our pride. Years later, I stumbled upon a sobering realization. Their daughter was spoiled rotten by Li Ziming. Some said being raised so pampered would make her grow up into an entitled brat. The girl charged forward with giant shears, pointing them at the person's nose while yelling, "My parents are rich, what's it to you how they spend their money, you nosy octopus, keep meddling and I'll snip your tentacles off." One time I passed by the school just as classes were letting out. I witnessed my daughter being cornered in an alley for money after school, thinking it was bullying. I was about to intervene when what happened next stunned me. My daughter fawningly guided the other kids' hand into her backpack and let them take out over a dozen 100 yuan bills. As the kids walked away satisfied with the money, my daughter suddenly burst into tears, crying robbery. With a loud cry, she caught the attention of parents picking up their kids, then tearfully called the police using her smartwatch. Over 1,000 was stolen, but my daughter remembered the serial numbers of the bills. And her watch had video evidence. The proof was ironclad. Had I not seen it with my own eyes, I'd never have known my daughter could handle such situations independently. Li Ziming was bursting with pride when he learned about this. How dare anyone bully my daughter? This is called legally defending oneself and bringing wrongdoers to justice. I smirked. During our honeymoon, you were also busy. Busy legally bringing wrongdoers to justice. No, I was busy planning our local itinerary. Yeah right, like I'd believe that. During our honeymoon trip to 5 destinations, Zhang Yihe, Zhou Ting, Gu Bo, Su Heng, and Sun Shua were involved in car accidents of varying severity at each location. The businesses of the Gu, Su, and Sun families were all decimated overnight. Anyone with half a brain could tell Li Ziming was behind this. Though he's focused on family these years, those clans still live in constant fear. In business circles, they desperately curry favor with me. Terrified Li Ziming might snap again and wipe out their multi-generational legacies like he did with the Zhang family. His approach to parenting his daughter goes against the grain. Other people's daughters learn music and fine arts. My daughter trains in combat sports. When other girls get bullied, they just cry. She wailed at the top of her lungs while twisting the other person's fingers, making them howl in pain. Her cries completely drowning out theirs. The end. Story 2. In my past life, it was always my duty to yield as the eldest sister-in-law. The only lesson my husband Jiang Jingqing ever taught me was this: step aside. After my brother-in-law's death, he demanded I step back, so it was his widow Jiang Shui who accompanied him for work. When our children grew up, his refrain remained the same: I must concede. So both of Jiang Shui's children landed government jobs thanks to Jiang Jingqing's connections. They're pulling in 10 to 20k monthly pensions with top-tier medical benefits. Meanwhile, my kids are stuck breaking their backs in the fields. I know my children resent me for it. They blamed me for failing to keep my husband's affection, yet bent over backwards to please Jiang Shui's family. Even on my 80th birthday, they all seemed to develop collective amnesia and went to celebrate Jiang Shui's instead. Overcome with rage, I stormed over and flipped the table. As I collapsed from the heart attack, my dying sight was everyone fussing over Jiang Shui. Terrified she might be startled, given a second chance at life, I'd simply let go of Riverside Heights 2. 1. I've been waiting outside the post office for 3 hours. The moment the post office opened, I rushed in. Hello, I'm Zhou Lihua. Do you have any registered mail for me? My hands at my sides began trembling uncontrollably. Comrade Zhou Lihua. I nervously clutched at my sides. Why yes, that's me. Registered mail for you. Please sign here. I signed my name with careful precision. I hurried home. Mommy, I'm hungry. A little munchkin came running and clung tightly to my leg. My expression cooled. Still, I went to steam her a bowl of egg custard in the kitchen. Jiang Jingqing had mailed all this month's meat ration coupons to Jiang Shui's house next door. He seemed to have forgotten there was a wife and child to feed at home. Her eyes were only for Jiang Shui and her twins. Seeing my daughter eating steamed egg custard at the table, I went into the room. The registered mail was sent by my professor. In my past life, I'd also received an invitation from my mentor to join his medical team for border relief work. those classmates who returned after 3 years of frontier assistance work with our mentor all secured promising positions afterward. But in just 10 days, Jiang Jingqing will return. He told me that as the elder sister-in-law, I should be more understanding. My younger brother worked himself to the bone to fund his education back then, which led to his tuberculosis. Otherwise he wouldn't have passed so young. This was his debt to Jiang Shui's family. He said I was perfect in every way and had complete trust in me, unlike fragile Jiang Shui who'd struggle raising a child alone, so he insisted she accompany him for work. I was utterly shocked and couldn't comprehend it at the time, but after years of marriage, Jiang Jingqing had already gaslighted me into complete foolishness. I believed my husband was my entire world, so I swallowed my resentment and humiliation, raising the child alone, and abandoned my plans to support the border regions. At first, he still sent ration coupons for grain and meat, but gradually, the communication faded away. It wasn't until later that I learned Jiang Shui had gone with him. He worried Jiang Shui might see herself as an outsider and hesitate to spend his money, so he handed over his entire monthly income to Jiang Shui. They even entrusted her with sending the food ration coupons and meat vouchers. Jiang Shui initially sent some back, but eventually pocketed the entire lot. Years later when confronted, she simply shrugged it off with "must have gotten lost in the mail." Jiang Jingqing let the matter slide without further ado. By that time, Jiang Jingqing had already raised both her children to successful careers, yet my son couldn't even secure a steady job, and my daughter, malnourished and frail, had to drop out early and marry. My children lived their entire lives in poverty. Meanwhile, Jiang Shui's children retired with hefty pensions worth tens of thousands, their whole family living in prosperity. My child kept blaming me for being useless while shamelessly fawning over Jiang Shui's family. I died right there. And not a single soul glanced my way. Nobody knew I'd been reborn. In my past life, Jiang Jingqing returned shortly after I received the registered letter. He said he'd take Jiang Shui to work with him, expecting me to mind my manners. From then on, I was left to care for our 2 children and his parents. I politely declined the teacher's invitation. That remains my lifelong regret. I gently traced my fingers over the invitation in my hands, then swiftly packed all my belongings. This lifetime, not only am I going to the border regions, but I'm also leaving my ungrateful children with Jiang Jingqing. He actually thought he could take Jiang Shui and her 2 kids to work with him. Yeah, right, in his dreams. After packing all the luggage, I carried my daughter and went next door. The moment I stepped into Jiang Shui's place, the aroma of cooked meat hit me. A widow with no job or income, yet she could afford meat regularly and new clothes, all thanks to my generous husband. In my past life, I always believed what Jiang Jingqing owed his brother, I owed too, so even though it irked me how Jiang Jingqing kept funneling our family's money to Jiang Shui, I never made a scene. But in the end, I lived in poverty my whole life while she reaped all the benefits with my man. I walked out carrying my daughter and saw Jiang Shui chatting with some neighbors at the street corner. Jiang Shui was wearing a brand new blue polyester blouse, black dress pants, and had a black bow tied in her hair. To a stranger, she could easily be mistaken for a schoolteacher. When she noticed me approaching with my child, Jiang Shui paused before saying, "Sister-in-law, in my past life, I initially felt uneasy around her and avoided speaking to her. Later, that unease turned into pure hatred. I despised how she clung to Jiang Jingqing like a parasitic vine, draining the life that rightfully belonged to my child and me." Jiang Shui probably sensed my resentment, which is why we barely crossed paths despite living next door. I gave Jiang Shui a once-over without saying a word. Even the neighborhood aunties started looking puzzled now. "Li Hua, what's gotten into you?" "Yeah, why are you staring at Jiang Shui like that?" I pursed my lips before finally looking at Jiang Shui. "Did Jiang Jingqing send you more ration coupons again?" The moment I asked, Jiang Shui's expression changed. Sister-in-law." The neighbors stared at me in shock, then turned their gaze to Jiang Shui. I said coldly, "My child hasn't had a bite of meat in 2 months. I just smelled meat cooking at your place. Did Jiang Jingqing send you more ration coupons again?" My words instantly flustered Jiang Shui. "And no, I was just, that was borrowed from someone." I gave her a cold smile. "But someone saw the letters Jiang Jingqing sent you." After a deliberate pause, I added, 2 letters every month." My words painted the aunties' faces with spectacular expressions. It wasn't until much later that I discovered Jiang Jingqing had actually been sending me ration coupons for grain and meat all along. He figured if they were addressed to me directly, Jiang Shui, as my sister-in-law, would feel awkward about asking me for them, so he sent all the coupons to Jiang Shui first, expecting her to pass them on to me, but she never did. Her husband's been dead for 3 years. All this time, Jiang Jingqing's been sending her money and bills every month. yet his lawful wife hasn't seen a single penny. Jiang Shuan never expected I'd find out about this. In her eyes, even if I found out, I'd still have my pride. I'd never stoop to seeking her out like some defeated rival, because reaching out to her would mean admitting Jiang Jingqing values her more than me. Just look at this, I'm clearly Jiang Jingqing's wife, yet he prioritizes Jiang Shuan everything. Jiang Shuan never expected I'd actually come knocking on her door. I want no part in whatever's between Jiang Shuan and Jiang Jingqing, but what's rightfully mine, I'll reclaim every single penny. Cutting off her chance to argue, I pressed on. I know for these 3 years since your husband left, Jiang Jingqing's been sending money orders to your household every month, and you've never shared a cent with me. Jiang Shui looked at me, about to speak when I cut her off again. I said, I don't care what shady business you've got going on with Jiang Jingqing, but you'd better return every last cent that belongs to me, otherwise, I'll report your affair to the police without hesitation. My words made Jiang Shui stagger slightly. Sis, no, it's not like that. I didn't. What do you mean nothing? What exactly don't you have? Are you claiming you never took Jiang Jingqing's bribes, or that you're not sleeping with him? I don't care about your affairs. But every cent of that money better be in my hands by tonight, or I'm going straight to the police tomorrow. I turned away with my daughter in my arms. Hey, sis-in-law, when I got home, I steamed some potatoes to make potato pancakes for dinner. All these years Jiang Jingqing was away, I'd been raising the kids while working as an apothecary assistant at a clinic, because I'm literate and quick with my hands, even when I needed time off for family matters. The clinic never let me go. With this income, I managed to support both children, though I'd decided to leave the children with Jiang Jingqing. I still had a duty to care for them until his return. With my son staying at his grandparents' these days, I only cooked dinner for my daughter and myself. I waited until after 9, but Jiang Shui never showed up. I thought she was shameless beyond redemption and was about to report them to the police tomorrow. To my surprise, past 10 o'clock, the front door suddenly swung open from outside. Throwing on a robe, I came out to find a noticeably younger Jiang Jingqing carrying a bundle, walking in with Jiang Shui. Jiang Shui caught my gaze and gave a faint smile. Sis, I forgot to mention, your husband's coming home early today. She hesitated before adding, don't bother cooking, he's already eaten at my place. Noticing my expression darken, she flusteredly glanced at Jiang Jingqing and began waving her hands in explanation. Please don't misunderstand. Junwen hadn't seen his uncle in ages. The moment he returned, the boy just wouldn't let go. Big brother only stayed this late at my place because he dotes on the child. Please, you mustn't. I stared at Jiang Jingqing without speaking. Jiang Jingqing set the things down and reassured the flustered Jiang Shui. Don't worry. Your sister-in-law isn't the petty type. You should head back now. Junwen will start making a fuss if he doesn't see you soon. Jiang Shui glanced at me hesitantly, her words trailing off. Big brother, if sister-in-law makes a scene later, please don't you dare. Jiang Shui looked at me, then at Jiang Jingqing before finally walking away. I turned around to head back to my room. Jiang Jing looked at me. Shall we talk? I paused mid-step and nodded. We sat facing each other across the table. After watching Jiang Jingqing remain silent for quite some time, I was about to leave when he finally looked up. Li Hua, did you go pick a fight with Jiang Shui today? I thought his silence meant he was figuring out how to explain why all the money had been sent to Jiang Shui all these years. Never imagined he'd actually confront me about it. Before I could respond, Jiang Jingqing continued. Do you realize how your words today will make people view your sister-in-law? I laughed. So you're saying you've neglected your family for 3 years, couldn't even provide basic necessities for your wife and kids, yet you've been lavishing money on some mistress, even raising another man's child. You can do all this, but I'm not allowed to call you out on it. Jiang Jingqing never expected me to say these words. His face darkened. What other woman? She's my brother's wife, your sister-in-law. So what? I asked. Jiang Jingqing seemed to be barely containing his anger as he patiently explained. My brother supported me through school. I owe them everything. Staring at him, I only felt this person before me had become a complete stranger. Yes, these are your debts, but you have no right to drag me into paying them with you. Option 1. Stay single and slave away for your siblings, raising their children yourself. Option 2. Divorce me now and marry Jiang Shui while you still can. But you shouldn't force me and our child to pay your debts. Jiang Jingqing, no one has the right to be this selfish. Zhou Lihua, what kind of nonsense are you spouting? Divorce you to marry Jiang Shui? Is this how an elder sister-in-law should speak? I snapped. So you do remember I'm just the elder sister-in-law. I'm neither her mother nor yours. I owe you nothing. So you married me and had children with me just to get another slave, more slaves to help pay your debts. Are we supposed to spend our whole lives stepping aside for your so-called kindness? For Jiang Shui, For your nephew, giving them everything isn't enough. I'm not even allowed to complain. Should I build them a shrine and worship them with 3 daily incense sticks? Answer me. Jianjing opened his mouth. Li Hua, I thought you'd be more understanding, that you'd see the bigger picture, but I never expected you to be so petty. I shot to my feet. You're right. I don't see the bigger picture. I'm petty. For 3 years, you've abandoned your wife and child to support another woman. Do you really think that's acceptable? If you genuinely believe there's nothing wrong with this, then don't blame me for taking this matter to your superiors at work. You, Jiang Jingqing rose abruptly to his feet. Li Hua, after being away for 3 years, is this how you greet me the moment I return? I scoffed coldly. If you don't want me to argue with you or make a scene at your office, then pay me back every cent you owe me from these past 3 years. Otherwise, we'll settle this at your workplace tomorrow. I stormed back to my room, threw the spare bedding into the storage closet, and locked the door behind me. I just want what's rightfully mine. As for when he's coming back, why would Jiang Xuan know his exact return time when even I, his wife, was kept in the dark? Our home is right next door. Yet he spent hours at his sister-in-law's place without even stopping by. I don't even want to deal with this anymore. Truth be told, these things had already happened far too many times in my past life. All the anger and tears I should have felt, I'd already endured them in that previous existence. This lifetime, he can do whatever he pleases for all I care. The next morning, I got up and immediately resigned from my job. The innkeeper wanted to persuade me to stay, but reluctantly agreed when he heard I was determined to leave. To my surprise, he even gave me a red envelope as farewell gift when I departed. Li Hua, the road ahead is long and arduous. Take good care of yourself. You hear? I've worked here for 3 years. The usually stern shopkeeper nearly moved me to tears right before my departure. What distant journey? Jiang Jingqing's figure appeared from outside. The shopkeeper looked at me. This is, my expression cooled, the child's father. The shopkeeper glanced at Jiang Jingqing, then at my subtle headshake, offering only a perfunctory greeting before being called away by a customer. Jiang Jingqing turned to me. What were you two discussing? I pocketed the wages and red envelope from the shopkeeper before turning to leave. Jiang Jingqing caught up and grabbed my arm. Li Hua, I'm sorry, these past 3 years, you've been through so much. I shook off his hand, and he froze for a second. Li Hua, I know I haven't been good enough before, but I swear I'll make it up to you. I scoffed. So this is what you call being extra nice to me, taking Jiang Shui away and leaving me to live like a widow. Suddenly realizing his true purpose for returning, I asked, did you come back to take Jiang Shui away? Jiang Jingqing seemed startled that I knew about this. His eyes flickered with panic as he stammered. What did you say? I said, did you come back to take Jiang Shui away? I had no problem repeating myself. Jiang Jingqing had nowhere to hide. I wasn't. Oh, I knew it. You'd never stoop to something so shameless. Who in their right mind would take their brother's wife to live with them? Right. My words made Jiang Jingqing jerk his head up abruptly. Li Hua, what kind of talk is that? After just a few years apart. How did you start sounding like one of those shrews? That's downright nasty. So you're really taking Jiang Shui away? My words made Jiang Jingqing fall silent for a moment. Finally, he sighed. Li Hua, Jiang Shui is struggling to raise the child alone. My brother's gone now. She's my responsibility. Do you understand? You're my wife. I need you to understand me on this. All right. When I remained silent, he continued. Li Hua, I know it hasn't been easy for you. You've worked so hard raising the children all these years, but trust me, once I get settled there, I'll bring you over without fail. All right. Jiang Jingqing pulled out the money from his pocket and said urgently, Li Hua, I know you must resent me, but you have to understand, if I sent the money directly to you, given Jiang Shui's personality, do you really think she'd accept it, as your man? Wouldn't it be better if I sent the money to her first, then had her pass it to you? That way she wouldn't feel awkward about taking your money. I just never expected. All these years, she'd been giving the leftover money to Mom to avoid any misunderstanding between you. My head jerked up abruptly. Jiang Jingqing was still explaining. I've already asked Mom about it. She thought I was sending you money separately, so she kept those funds. Li Hua, this was my oversight. I didn't hear the rest of Jiang Jingqing's words. 10. I knew this was just an excuse they cooked up as a family. They were simply afraid I'd actually show up at his workplace today and expose how he'd neglected his own family for 3 years while sending all his money to his sister-in-law's household. Watching Jiang Jingqing explain himself without a shred of remorse, I felt nothing but icy despair in my heart. Blood is thicker than water, even though they knew how much I've suffered these 3 years. They turned a blind eye, and now they're even colluding with Jiang Shui to screw me over. Jiang Jingqing and I went to his parents' house. The moment I stepped inside, I saw Jiang Shui sitting there with her head bowed, wiping away tears. My in-laws' faces darkened the instant they noticed me. Jingqing told me you're planning to make a scene at his workplace. Outrageous. Father-in-law slammed his chopsticks onto the table with a sharp crack. He's out there working his fingers to the bone. And this is how you repay him, by stabbing him in the back. Are you trying to ruin him? How dare you sling mud at your own husband and sister-in-law? You may have no shame, but our Jiang family still has our dignity. Have you ever stopped to think? You can't even raise your own son properly. If it weren't for Jiang Shui saving the best food for your boy these past years, do you think he'd be so full of life? I never knew someone could make shamelessness sound so refined. Everything Jiang Shui eats and drinks comes from my husband's hard-earned money, yet when my son gets a few bites of meat at her place, suddenly it's some grand favor. Though my mother-in-law stayed silent, her disapproving gaze spoke volumes. Even my son came charging at me, pounding his little fists. Mommy's mean, you're bullying auntie, mean mommy, mean mommy. My son got along well with Jiang Shui's kid. When he saw my son hitting me, Jiang Shui's child rushed over too. Those half-grown boys might look small, but their punches pack a wallop. Those hits really hurt. I stood there numbly, letting my son's tiny fists pummel against me. Jiang Jingqing pulled both his son and Jiang Shui's child closer, sighing, Li Hua, you've completely misunderstood the situation between me and your sister-in-law, but I know you didn't mean it. Just apologize to her, she's magnanimous and won't hold it against you. Jiang Shui hastily wiped her tears and looked at me. Sis, I'm sorry. I know you've misunderstood me. It's my fault for taking brother's money. He only helped us because he pitied me and my child. Please don't be angry, sis. I'll take my child back to my parents' place. I promise we won't be in your way anymore. No, don't let auntie leave. You're a bad mom. Horrible mom. Get out. I looked at the crowded room and suddenly burst into laughter. 11. In my past life, Jiang Jingqing left with Jiang Shui and their child, leaving me alone to raise 2 children while caring for my aging in-laws. What have I been left with? My children's resentment, decades of living as a grass widow, dying of sheer rage on my birthday. I nodded at the crowded room. For 3 years, Jiang Jingqing sent Jiang Shui 2 letters every month, along with money and coupons. I've been raising my child alone, like a widow. Now that he's back, I'm sure you all know he's here to take Jiang Shui away. The Jiang family prides itself on respectability, yet you let him commit such despicable acts worse than beasts. How dare you dress up his filthy obsession with his sister-in-law as something honorable? I stared at Jiang Shui's ashen face. You must be thrilled, aren't you? After all, my man can't stop thinking about you. He'd rather abandon his own wife and child than stop supporting you. I turned to face my in-laws. This is utterly revolting. How could you watch your son lust after his own brother's widow? Have you no shame before your deceased son's memory? In fact, you probably see me as an obstacle between your precious daughter-in-law and Jiang Jingqing, don't you? Why else would you defend him after he abandoned us for 3 whole years? My in-laws' expressions darkened. I turned my gaze to Jiang Jingqing. No amount of words can hide your inappropriate desire for your brother's wife. I turned away, ready to leave. Yet I turned to look at my son. If you think your aunt is so wonderful, why don't you let her be your mother then? 12. I ignored my in-laws' furious shouts behind me, nor did I care about Jiang Jingqing's panicked cries from behind. I went back home and took out the packed bundle. As I stepped out, I happened to see a few aunties gathered and gossiping. Spotting me, they froze. Li Hua, what are you? I couldn't hold back my tears. Auntie, was I really wrong? All these years, was I truly mistaken? Seeing me cry, someone quickly asked what was wrong. My tears kept falling one after another. Can you believe it? I didn't even know my husband was coming home yesterday, yet Jiang Shui had the date marked on her calendar. She went as far as preparing a whole feast to welcome him back. He clearly got home by 5 or 6, but I didn't lay eyes on him until nearly 10 at night. Just yesterday I found out he's been sending money to the neighbors twice a month, for 3 whole years. Not a single penny came my way. You all know how I've struggled alone with the child these years. It's been pure misery. The aunties joined my tirade with righteous indignation, their eyes blazing with scandalous curiosity. I choked back a sob before continuing. You don't understand. My husband told me he came back this time to take Jiang Shui away. What? Someone finally snapped. Take his sister-in-law away. Where to? I wiped my tears, putting on a brave face. He said, sis-in-law has it tough, raising the kid all by herself. What kind of nonsense is that? So sis-in-law struggles, but your own woman doesn't. I shook my head. Whatever. Let him do as he pleases. Though Jiang Shui has been kept by my husband for 3 years, yet my in-laws claim I owe Jiang Shui, saying even the meat my son eats is her charity. True, I'm useless, raising 2 kids these years, barely affording meat, the boys starving for it. Someone exchanged glances. Honestly, I often catch the scent of meat stewing from Jiang Shue's place. I asked her about it once, and she said it was a gift from her parents' home. TSK. So they actually stole from a proper wife and her children. The nerve. Heaven will strike them down for this. What a sin. How could such a thing happen right under our noses? Someone else noticed my luggage. Li Hua, are you leaving? Wiping away tears. I said, I suppose if I leave, he and Jiang Shui can finally be together openly. I murmured sorrowfully. Someone tried to console me. Good heavens, how could this be allowed? The child is still young. If not for the monk's sake, then for the Buddha's. A motherless child is truly pitiful. Indeed, for the child's sake, just bear with it a little longer. When they grow up, they'll understand how hard it was for their mother. I shook my head, grabbed my luggage, and ran off in tears. Covering my mouth. In my past life, I truly endured everything for the sake of my child. I thought everything I did was for my child, but not until my dying day did I realize a mother's love has its limits. Money, that's what really matters. For 5 years, I worked diligently and conscientiously. 3 years ago, nearly all my classmates had left, even our instructor departed during the 4th year. Yet I stayed on and was eventually recruited into a classified national priority project. And just like that, a decade passed. The moment our missile soared into the sky, I knew every sacrifice was worth it. The project team granted me a week's leave. As I walked back into the alley, the aunties at the street corner spotted me immediately. Is that you, Li Hua? I nodded. A whole crowd came rushing over. Li Hua, where have you been all these years? Oh, we only ever got your monthly remittances, never so much as a note. Have you struck it rich or something? I was dressed in a stylish printed blouse, pleated skirt, and high heels. To them, I looked like one of those fashionable models straight out of a magazine, wanting to make a good impression on my 2 children. I'd put considerable effort into grooming myself before returning. Before I could speak, I saw someone staring at me in shock. Li Hua. I looked up. It was Jiang Jingqing. 10 years ago when I left, an anonymous complaint letter still made its way to Jiang's workplace. Though he wasn't completely stripped of his position, he did get transferred back. That's great. He's working locally now. No need to drag people all the way out here just to spare Jiang Shui the trouble. Mother. As soon as I stepped inside, 2 children, one big, one small, came running to greet me. There wasn't a trace of awkwardness despite our decade apart. Oh, that's because I'd been sending money to the kids through neighbors every month after I left. The neighbors felt genuine sympathy seeing me leave heartbroken that day. With me sending money home every month, everyone says I'm a good mother. Whenever I have time, I make sure to tell both kids how much their mom loves them. I send a substantial amount of money back home each month. I even wrote letters asking the neighbors to set aside half the money to buy meat and cook proper meals for the children. The neighbors could afford to put better food on their family's table while still being decent folks. Why wouldn't they? I handed out the gifts I'd bought to the kids. After playing with the children for a while, only Jiang Jingqing and I remained in the living room. Rumor has it he never ended up with Jiang Shui after all these years. After I left, people started gossiping about Jiang Shui. The scandal blew up, and her family eventually took her back. She soon married a widower. The widower resented Jiang Shui for bringing along 2 stepchildren and being unable to bear more children, so he beat her regularly. On one occasion, he even broke her leg. Now she walks with a permanent limp. Rumor has it Jiang Jingqing has been waiting for me all these years. They say he struggled caring for his parents, and both passed away last year. The neighbors say life in Riverside Heights isn't easy. Some advised him to move on, saying she must have found someone else after all these years away, but he refused. He vowed, I'll wait for her return no matter what. But this time I came back. I came back to get a divorce. When he saw me return, he immediately went out to buy groceries, saying we should celebrate properly. I watched him bustling about, deliberately avoiding the topic every time I tried to bring it up. I could only sigh. In the evening, we had a family reunion dinner. He looked at me hopefully. I've tidied up the room, go freshen up and get some rest. With that, he got up to clear the dishes. I stopped him and said, we need to talk. Jiang Jingqing froze for a moment, then silently took a seat. I said, let's get a divorce. Truth be told, I should have said this 10 years ago, as if I'd let him off that easily. Never mind whether he agreed to divorce me 10 years ago, even if we did divorce. You think I'd let him marry Jiang Shui, in your dreams? I thought it would take some serious convincing to get Jiang Jingqing to agree to the divorce. To my surprise, after a brief silence, he actually consented, but he had one condition, that I stay at the house overnight. I'd planned to book a hotel, but staying home wasn't a problem. It'd give me time with the kids. They may have resented me in our past lives, but they'll always be my flesh and blood. Though I can't be with them every moment in this life, I'll still fulfill my responsibilities. The next day, after completing the paperwork with Jiang Jingqing, I prepared to leave immediately. Lihua, Jiang Jingqing couldn't help but call out to me. I turned around to see tears glistening in his eyes. I'm sorry. Though these words came a lifetime too late, I accepted them nonetheless. After returning, I threw myself wholeheartedly into my work. 8 years later, I received a text from my son. He said he was getting married and asked if I could attend his wedding. Seeing my work was at a natural stopping point, I agreed. All these years, I've still been sending money home every month. I even gave each of them an apartment after he and his daughter came of age. On their wedding day, he and his bride proudly introduced me to everyone. This is my mom. She's an extraordinary woman. I, and my entire family, are so proud of her. Coincidentally, the official interview with our research team from earlier was being broadcast on TV. And all eyes turned toward me. My son and daughter were also looking at me with pride and excitement. My gaze fell upon Jiang Jingqing, who had been working himself to the bone all these years for our children and parents. He's now a far cry from his former glory in the past life. In his previous life, with me as his safety net, he advanced triumphantly all the way, surrounded by beautiful companions. His career flourished splendidly. In this life, I'm no longer there. He's like a bird with clipped wings, dragged down from mid-flight, and I wasn't the only one pulling him down. And his children, his parents, all these years, even after the divorce, he never managed to find the right person while raising 2 kids alone. He even had to take early retirement due to health issues. I never even made it to office director before retirement, yet thanks to me, all my children graduated from top universities, built successful careers, and even have happy marriages. Though I wasn't physically present, they always thought highly of me. They even resent that if their father hadn't cheated, I wouldn't have left, depriving them of maternal love in childhood. Jiang Jingqing once claimed he never cheated, but the neighbors have recounted his past misdeeds to our children countless times over the years. The children have long been convinced of his betrayal toward me, even after both children married. I never lived with them, even after retirement. I'd been living my own quiet little life. They've asked countless times for me to live with them, saying they want to care for me, but I've always declined. I understand their wish for me to move in, partly out of filial devotion, perhaps, but I suspect, most likely, it's still about my money, because I paid for their education, I covered their wedding expenses, I even bought each of them a house to start their married life, but that's all there is. After that, I never gave them a single penny. I believe I fulfilled my obligations. After all, though I've let go of the wounds they inflicted in our past life, the scars still linger. Wishing each other well is the best ending we could hope for. As for my golden years, I've devoted my entire life to the research institute, and in return, they've arranged the finest retirement home for me. It's fully equipped with all amenities and has dedicated caregivers. I could even travel across this magnificent land to my heart's content. Because I'm wealthy, the only thing that bothers me is how frequently my son and daughter bring their kids, my grandchildren, to visit me at the retirement home. My grandkids are very close to me, though I have some unresolved issues with my children. I hold nothing against my grandchildren. If they're willing to come, they're welcome. If not, I'd never be the one to invite them over. Over the weekend, my son and daughter brought the whole family to visit me. They even brought a 2-tier cake with them, just as everyone was singing happy birthday to me. I noticed my son answering a phone call. Seeing my daughter eating steamed egg custard at the table, I went into the room. My son hung up and shook his head. It's nothing, Mom, make your wish first. Only later did I learn that call had come from the hospital. Jiang Jingqing suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and was rushed to the hospital. Yet my son insisted on celebrating my birthday before heading to the hospital. By the time we arrived, Jiang Jingqing had already passed away. Jiang Jingqing never earned much during his lifetime, and the emergency treatment nearly wiped out his entire life savings. Both the son and daughter ended up chipping in over 10,000 each. The funeral arrangement still required a considerable sum. In the end, they agreed to keep things simple. On the 3rd day, his ashes were laid to rest in the cemetery. The kids asked if I wanted to see him off. I shook my head. To me, the moment I stepped out with my luggage decades ago, Jiangjing City had already died in every way that mattered. His entire existence has nothing to do with me. What does his death have to do with me anyway? After the funeral, their son brought me a letter, said it was left for me by their father, Jiang Jingqing. After the son left, I stared at that letter for a long time. A sudden scoff escaped my lips. As I stood up, I tossed the letter into the trash. Life is full of ups and downs. More is lost than gained. Life brings more troubles than joys. Yet how we live through it all lies entirely in our own hands. The end. Story 2. When my officer husband Shin Xiaoxing slapped me to the ground, 3 months pregnant, for his savior Song Kuo, after 8 years of devotedly fawning over Shin Xiaoxing, I suddenly woke up. I calmly went to the hospital to terminate the pregnancy, severing the last thread tying me to Shin Xiaoxing. A year later, Shin Xiaoxing finally remembered me, his so-called pregnant wife. He came knocking on my door carrying bags of gifts, wanting to see me and his child. I laughed. You divorced me to marry another woman. Why should I keep your child to disgust myself? I've been reborn. I was reborn on the very day when my military officer husband Shin Xiaoxing gave all the money I'd saved for childbirth to his lifesaver Song Kuo to buy appliances. Watching the neighbors Song Kuo's family move in a big color TV, refrigerator, and washing machine, I suddenly realized the money I had saved for childbirth had vanished. It felt like a bolt from the blue. I went to confront Shin Xiaoxing for an explanation, only to see Song Kuo coyly nestled in his arms. Seeing my husband being so intimate with another woman made me tremble with anger. I stepped forward and demanded to know where my money had gone. Song Kuo, still nestled in Shin Xiaoxing's arms, answered coyly, Xiaoxing gave all the money to me to buy appliances. Staring at Song Kuo's smug face, I was furious to the extreme. How can you be so shameless? Without earning money yourself, you only think about spending others' money. 1. Song Kuo cried pitifully, her makeup smudged. While Shin Xiaoxing's eyes turned red with anger, forcing me to apologize, I refused to apologize. Ever since Shin Xiaoxing transferred Song Kuo to the military district as his confidential secretary, everything had turned upside down. Shin Xiaoxing frequently went out of his way to help Song Kuo, often buying rice and flour for her. Whenever Song Kuo had a headache or fever, Shin Xiaoxing would come at her beck and call, even in the middle of the night during a thunderstorm. Song Kuo could knock on his door wrapped in a blanket and summon Shin Xiaoxing to accompany her. As for me, his wife of 3 years, Shin Xiaoxing treated me like thin air. Anger and resentment filled my heart, especially when I saw Song Kuo shamelessly throwing herself into Shin Xiaoxing's arms right in front of me, his wife. As a deliberate provocation, my fury only grew stronger. You shameless adulterers, filled with nothing but lust and illicit affairs. I'll report you to the military district leadership. As my words fell, Shin Xiaoxing violently slapped me across the face. The slap sent me tumbling to the ground, my head hitting Song Kuo's cabinet with a heavy thud. Blood gushed out as I lay on the floor, my mind flooded with an unbelievable experience. Turns out Shin Xiaoxing didn't just give all my childbirth savings to Song Kuo to buy appliances. He even gave the apartment allocated by my work unit to Song Kuo. I cried and made scenes. But it was all in vain. Song Kuo is vicious and despicable, constantly scheming against me at every turn. Meanwhile, Shin Xiaoxing blindly trusted Song Kuo. After being manipulated by her once again, he used the excuse of his elderly and frail parents needing care to send me back to his hometown thousands of miles away to look after them, in the countryside. I toiled tirelessly, bearing children and caring for his parents, waiting desperately like longing for stars and the moon to reunite with him. Shin Xiaoxing's official position kept rising, yet he never once considered bringing me back. It wasn't until his parents passed away one after another that I went to find Shin Xiaoxing, only to realize I had long since become a stranger to him, from the moment he sent me back to the countryside. We had already divorced and become passers-by in each other's lives. After sending me away, he couldn't wait to marry Song Kuo, holding a grand wedding ceremony for her. He and Song Kuo stayed together day and night, loving each other forever. Since Song Kuo couldn't bear children, the child I gave birth to and raised with hardship became theirs. When I, looking aged and haggard, came knocking, Shin Xiaoxing avoided me, while Song Kuo brought my biological son to see me. The bejeweled Song Kuo threw a stack of money at me as if I were trash. Moon Yen Yen, all these years Xiaoxing just treated you as a free nanny. I am his rightful and lawful wife, so get the hell out of here. My own flesh and blood son even said, Mom, look at what you've become now. You're no longer worthy of Dad. Take the money and leave. I'll send you money every month for your retirement, but on one condition. Never show your face in front of our family again. My whole life turned out to be a joke, exploited by others. The man I deeply loved treated me as a free maid, and even my own son despised me. Overwhelmed by rage, I spat blood and died on the spot. Memories of my past life and the present flashed through my mind as I lay on the ground, staring fixedly at Shin Xiaoxing and Song Kuo. Perhaps the hatred and fury in my eyes were too intense. Shin Xiaoxing, who had been busy comforting the sobbing Song Kuo, finally spared a glance at me, bleeding and lying on the ground. Seeing me with half my face swollen and bleeding from the forehead, Shen Xiaoxing froze. He finally remembered I was a pregnant woman, and Shen Xiaoxing let go of the sobbing Song Kuo to help me up. Hatred filled my heart as I mustered all my strength to shake off his supporting hand. Get away from me. Shen Xiaoxing didn't leave. Instead, he helped me up from the ground. You're bleeding. Let me take you to the hospital to get it treated. Didn't you hear me telling you to get lost? If you hadn't been talking nonsense, I wouldn't have hit you. I was just too angry earlier. But you were in the wrong here. Let's go to the hospital first to treat your wound, and we'll talk about apologies later. Ignoring my struggles, he forcibly carried me in his arms, preparing to take me to the hospital. Too, at that moment, Song Kuo suddenly collapsed softly onto the ground. Seeing Song Kuo faint, Shen Xiaoxing immediately released me and rushed to her side. Kuo, what's wrong? Wake up. Don't you know Kuo has a heart condition and can't handle stress? This is all your fault. He shouted at me hysterically before calling for the guards. Xiaoli, drive to the hospital immediately. Shen Xiaoxing, his face full of anxiety, rushed out carrying Song Kuo, while his guard Xiaoli immediately drove over upon hearing the commotion. Shen Xiaoxing got into the car with Song Kuo and ordered the guard to drive, completely forgetting about me with blood streaming down my forehead. The car roared away as I wiped another trickle of blood from my forehead and staggered back to the house next door. Bandaging my bleeding forehead in front of the mirror, I quietly began to recall my past life. In my past life, after Shen Xiaoxing hit me, he similarly ignored my bleeding and only cared about Song Kuo, who was pretending to faint. Furious and resentful, I rushed to the hospital and caused a scene. The consequence was Song Kuo having a heart attack and being hospitalized for half a month. As for me, I was placed under house arrest by Shen Xiaoxing. Because I was pregnant, Shen Xiaoxing didn't confine me, but he arranged for guards to watch me 24/7. The guard named Xiaoli was from the same hometown as Song Kuo and was in cahoots with her. He pretended compliance while acting contrary, deceiving superiors and subordinates alike, treating me with great cruelty, giving me only one meal a day consisting of 2 rock-hard steamed buns and cold water. By the time Song Kuo was discharged from the hospital, I was emaciated from starvation, reduced to skin and bones. Xiaoli said I was on a hunger strike, refusing to eat or drink, and Shen Xiaoxing took it at face value. When he saw me, there wasn't a shred of comfort, only scolding, saying I showed no remorse and should hurry up and die if I wanted to. He even warned me, saying a shrew like me who causes trouble isn't worthy to be his wife, and if I kept making a scene, he'd divorce me. I loved Shen Xiaoxing desperately, and hearing him threaten divorce stunned me on the spot. To prevent Shen Xiaoxing from divorcing me, I no longer dared to make a scene, but my forbearance changed nothing. Song Kuo kept provoking me, flaunting how much Shen Xiaoxing cared for and adored her. Infuriated by Song Kuo's words, I inevitably ended up quarreling with her again. Song Kuo set me up once more. She rolled down the stairs herself and falsely accused me of pushing her. Song Kuo was hospitalized again, this time claiming I pushed her and damaged her uterus, leaving her permanently infertile. I explained to Shen Xiaoxing that I didn't push Song Kuo, that she framed me by staging it herself. But Shen Xiaoxing didn't believe me. He told me I was facing jail time for intentional injury. I was terrified, but later Shen Xiaoxing approached me again saying he'd pulled some strings to keep me out of jail. Shen Xiaoxing asked me to return to the countryside to take care of his parents, saying he would bring me back after I gave birth and things settled down. With no other choice, I agreed to Shen Xiaoxing's suggestion. On the day of my departure, he made me sign an apology agreement. Trusting Shen Xiaoxing, I signed the so-called apology agreement and was then sent by him to the countryside. This departure lasted over 30 years. Initially, I planned to return to Shen Xiaoxing's side after giving birth, but his mother suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and became bedridden, requiring care. To fulfill filial duties for Shen Xiaoxing, I had no choice but to stay in the countryside. Over these 30 years, Shen Xiaoxing only returned a few times to visit his parents. He even took our son to live with him, claiming it was to lighten my burden. I didn't know the truth until I was on my deathbed. The so-called apology agreement I signed back then was actually a divorce agreement. Shen Xiaoxing married Song Kuo less than 3 months after sending me to the countryside. He even threw Song Kuo a grand wedding ceremony, and from then on, they treated me as a free old servant, wasting over 30 years of my life. The thought of this makes my teeth itch with hatred. If given another chance, whoever wants to be this old servant can have the job. Damn it, I'm not doing it anymore. I'll abort the vile bastard in my womb. If Shen Xiaoxing wants a divorce, I'll grant it to him. 3. In this life, I'll leave this pair of scoundrels behind and live my own life. Since I'm leaving, I need to prepare for a rainy day. I should secure some benefits for myself first. The money I saved for childbirth has already been given by Shin Xiaoxing to Song Kuer to buy household appliances. There's hardly any money left at home now, but next month is Shin Xiaoxing's birthday, and I prepared a watch as his birthday gift. I can sell the watch first. Also, I haven't received this month's salary yet, and I won't be handing it over. Back when Shin Xiaoxing and I got married, I joyfully prepared a pair of gold rings. Shin Xiaoxing found them childish and never wore his, which now conveniently allows me to sell the rings. Doing the math, I can get back around 1,000 yuan. Enough to cover the abortion and recovery expenses. The top priority now is the apartment allocated by my workplace. In my previous life, Shin Xiaoxing gave it directly to Song Kuer, but this time, such good fortune won't happen again. I need to sell the apartment first to get a sum of money. Clutching my watch and gold ring, I rushed to the office without caring about my disheveled appearance or the injury on my head. Seeing me in this state, my boss asked with great surprise. Without elaborating, I simply told my boss, I'm short on money now and plan to transfer the housing allocated to me. Please help me find a buyer. The price is negotiable. I'm known as a good-natured person at work, maintaining excellent relationships with both my boss and colleagues. The leader agreed to help me inquire, so I took the watch and gold ring to sell again. The watch was brand new and unused. I happened to meet a newlywed couple and sold it for 50 yuan less than my purchase price. I pawned the ring, which weighed 18 grams in total, for less than 1,000 yuan. With the money from the watch and ring, I went to the hospital and directly approached an obstetrician-gynecologist to explain my purpose. Shin Xiaoxing and I have been married for 5 years, but we haven't been able to conceive a child. Because of this worry, I frequently visit the doctor. The doctor knows me very well. Seeing that I wanted to abort the baby, they earnestly tried to persuade me. My mind was made up, but in the end, the doctor still refused to perform the surgery for me. She told me to get Shin Xiaoxing's signature for the procedure, since he's now in a leadership position. If I rashly aborted Shin Xiaoxing's child without his signature, she could face disciplinary consequences. I'm in a terrible mood because the child wasn't aborted. On the way back, I was thinking about how to make Shin Xiaoxing sign the papers. In my past life, Song Kuer falsely accused me of pushing her and damaging her uterus, making her infertile. Because of this, Shin Xiaoxing divorced me and married Song Kuer. This time, I won't wait for Song Kuer to scheme against me first. I'll strike preemptively to make this accusation stick and force Shin Xiaoxing to divorce me. Once the divorce is finalized, that heartless bastard will naturally and rightfully turn into nothing more than a pool of blood. Shin Xiaoxing didn't return until 9 p.m. By which time I had already eaten, washed up, and gone to bed. Half asleep, I felt something brushing against my face, stirring an inexplicable disgust and hatred. I instinctively swung my hand and slapped it away. A sharp slap echoed, my palm burning, and I jolted fully awake. A clear handprint emerged on Shin Xiaoxing's face. Needless to say, it was from me. At this moment, Shin Xiaoxing glared at me with a livid expression. Mu Nianyan, have you lost your mind? Having known Shin Xiaoxing for 10 years, I had always been gentle, considerate, and eager to please him. It was understandable how Shin Xiaoxing must have felt after suddenly being slapped. I rubbed my numb hand. I just had a nightmare about being chased and couldn't tell if it was a dream or reality, so I acted out. Shin Xiaoxing naturally wouldn't believe my explanation, and I didn't intend to make him believe me either. He fumed angrily. I just wanted to see how injured you were. Yet you pretended to be crazy and hit me. Mu Nianyan, you're really something. Looking at the finger marks on his face, I felt some regret. I truly wasn't pretending to be crazy. If I'd known it was him touching my face, I should have slapped him a few more times. Seeing my silence, Shin Xiaoxing's face grew even more furious. You actually went to sleep without waiting for me. You didn't even make dinner. I thought you weren't coming back. As for dinner, didn't you eat with Song Kuer? Don't you two often have dinner together? A look of embarrassment flashed across Shin Xiaoxing's face. I shouldn't have hit you today. I was so angry in the heat of the moment. To be honest, you went too far today too. You clearly know I was just helping Song Kuer out of gratitude, and you know she has a heart condition. How could you say those things about her? So he was still intent on blaming me. I stared coldly at Shin Xiaoxing's handsome face, before awakening. Before knowing the heinous things he would do to me, I couldn't get enough of his handsome face. Now knowing what would happen next, I find his face utterly repulsive no matter how I look at it. Shin Xiaoxing softened his tone when he saw my silence. Kuer was wronged because of you. Go apologize to her tomorrow, and let this matter be over. What if I refuse to apologize? If you did something wrong, you should admit it. Don't you know that? I want to know what I did wrong. You took the money I saved without asking. Don't I have the right to get it back? Well, how about we say I borrowed the money from you? borrowing means repaying, you should return everything you borrowed from me before too. Being repeatedly contradicted by me, Shin Xiaoxing's expression reached the pinnacle of awkwardness. His salary was already gone between supporting his parents and Song Kuo, otherwise he wouldn't have needed to touch my money. Shin Xiaoxing took the initiative to grab my hand, trying to coax me with tender affection. I shook him off abruptly. Shin Xiaoxing, let's make this clear. Helping Song Kuo is your business. I won't interfere anymore, but you must return every cent of my money untouched. Previously I never spoke up when he used my money, which made Shin Xiaoxing take it for granted. Seeing me so serious, he rubbed his nose and said, Nian Nian, we are one as husband and wife. There's no such thing as one as husband and wife. From now on, if you want to repay her kindness, I won't stop you. I promise I won't go looking for Song Kuo to cause trouble anymore, nor will I make any comments about your relationship. Just one thing, give my money back to me. Shin Xiaoxing stared at me intently. What do you mean? Exactly what I said. From now on, we'll go our separate ways. If you want to take care of Song Kuo, do it yourself. Don't drag me into it. I have no responsibility or obligation to help you take care of her. Before, whenever I got angry and made a scene, as long as Shin Xiaoxing said a few sweet words to coax me, I would immediately make up with him and everything would be as good as new. This sudden change, so different from before, made Shin Xiaoxing's face darken. Mu Nian. Do you know what you're saying? You're a military wife. Helping those in need is what you should be doing. Then why haven't I seen you caring about other people in need? There are plenty around here who are worse off than Song Kuo and need help more. Why aren't you helping them? After being rebutted like this by me, Shin Xiaoxing lost all face. With a dark expression, he let out a cold laugh. What are you making a fuss about again? I've told you countless times there's nothing between me and Song Kuo. She saved me back then. I was just repaying her kindness. I'd heard this so many times my ears were calloused. I cut him off directly. Enough. I'm not interested in your affairs with Song Kuo anymore, nor will I ever care again. I just have one demand, return my money to me. How can returned money that was already given? Stop being unreasonable, let me tell you. I know exactly what's bothering you. You're just jealous, aren't you? How many times do I have to explain before you'll listen? Shin Xiaoxing had grown extremely impatient, his tone becoming much more severe. Mu Nian, you'd better rein in your petty schemes. I will continue helping Song Kuo. If you keep disobeying and stirring up trouble at home, don't blame me for being ruthless. I'll divorce you. In my past life, Shin Xiaoxing threatened me with divorce. I was terrified. Afraid he'd abandon me, afraid I'd never earn his love. In this life, knowing his love was never meant for me but only for Song Kuo, what hesitation could remain? Without a moment's pause after his words, I nodded. Fine, let's get divorced. My agreement to divorce left Shin Xiaoxing utterly astonished. He stared at me as if seeing a ghost. Mu Nian, are you really sure you want to divorce me? I'm certain. I nodded firmly. We'll get divorced tomorrow, but before that, you must return all my money to me. It's always about money with you. Are you obsessed with it? Is money all you care about? Shin Xiaoxing asked through gritted teeth. Yes, money is all I care about. Shin Xiaoxing didn't believe I truly wanted a divorce. You're utterly unreasonable. Listen Mu Nian, don't think pregnancy gives you license to do as you please. I'm not doing as I please. The child isn't an obstacle. Just sign the papers, and I'll terminate the pregnancy tomorrow. Seeing my resolute expression, Shin Xiaoxing staggered back. Mu Nian, have you lost your mind? How could you even say something like abandoning our child? My unwavering determination to divorce left Shin Xiaoxing stunned. In anger, he slammed the door and stormed out. He left and never came back, and I didn't bother about him, lying down to continue resting. The next morning, I was startled awake by knocking at the door. Shin Xiaoxing's guard Shaoli stood at the door with breakfast. Looking displeased, the chief asked me to bring you breakfast. Seeing Shaoli, I didn't look pleased either, replying sharply, put it over there. Shaoli placed the breakfast on the table, his gaze falling on my face. I looked at him coldly. What are you staring at? The delivery's done, now get lost. I've always been kind to others and never put on airs, which is why Shin Xiaoxing's guards always saw me as an easy target. Especially this Shaoli, he's Song Kuo's fellow townsman and shares her sentiments, always subtly targeting me. Seeing me suddenly so assertive, Shaoli was startled, then quickly grew furious. What's your attitude? Last night you got jealous and drove the chief to sleep in the office, and today when the chief is being this humble, you still won't back down. Let me tell you, Mu Nian, you'd better rein it in. Don't push the chief too far, otherwise, you'll regret it. Are you threatening me? Who do you think you are? Just a dog by Song Kuo's side, yet you act all high and mighty. I'm warning you to show me some respect, piss me off, and I'll expose all your and Songkur's dirty little secrets." As my words fell, Xiao Li's face turned pale, and he hurriedly left without another word. Xiao Li's reaction surprised me. I only warned him because I remembered how he helped Songkur against me in my past life, but looking at Xiao Li's panicked and frightened expression, could there really be some shady dealings between him and Songkur that shouldn't see the light of day? I became secretly vigilant in my heart. After breakfast, I went to the office again to see my supervisor, who told me a colleague wanted my housing allocation quota. However, the other party currently doesn't have much money and can only offer me 4,000 yuan. I knew the house price would rise later. 4,000 was indeed too little, but I had no other choice. The house absolutely couldn't be given cheaply to Songkur. I agreed to the deal, took the 4,000 and transferred the housing allocation quota to them. Since I'm divorcing Shin Xiaoxing, there's no way I can continue living here. I'll have to quit my job too. Thinking about the developments 30 years from now, I secretly started forming a plan in my heart. I need to leave this place, head south to do business, and become one of the first to get rich, with a plan in mind. I quickly returned home, only to push open the door and find Songkur sitting in my living room. Seeing me, Songkur flashed a sarcastic smile. "Oh, the busy man finally returns. What are you here for?" "Just came to see you. You got beaten black and blue by Xiaoxing, even bleeding. As your neighbor, how could I not come check on you?" Songkur circled around me with a bright smile, lowering her voice viciously. "Why don't you just die? How dare you play the divorce card as a retreat? Do you even have the guts to divorce? If you dare divorce Xiaoxing, the sun will rise from the west." "Of course I dare to divorce, on one condition, you return my money." "Listen, Songkur, I couldn't care less about your affair with Shin Xiaoxing. Do whatever you want, but you must give my money back." "What if I don't pay it back?" "If you don't repay, I'll report you and Shin Xiaoxing to the military district for your illicit affair. Let's see how you two can keep living here after that." Songkur's face changed. "You wouldn't dare." "Why wouldn't I dare? Everyone knows about your shady dealings with Shin Xiaoxing these past 2 years. Shin Xiaoxing pulled strings to transfer you here as his secretary, then funneled all our family's money to you. You used my money to buy appliances, my money for clothes and jewelry. Living the high life, all the neighbors have seen it. If the authorities investigate, your dirty secrets with Shin Xiaoxing will be exposed. Xiaoxing was just helping me. Are you limbless, a dying cripple?" I sneered. "There are far more deserving people around than you. Why would Shin Xiaoxing help only you, a lone man and woman, thieves and prostitutes? The public sees everything clearly." Songkur grew fearful. "What exactly do you want? Don't you know this will ruin Xiaoxing? So what? What's that got to do with me?" I sneered at Songkur. 5. "I'm giving you just 3 days. Return my money immediately, or the only thing awaiting you and Shin Xiaoxing is complete ruin." Songkur left in disgrace, throwing down threats as she went, telling me to wait and see. I'm waiting, all right. Waiting with boiling blood. If we don't provoke her, why would she act in advance? I'm waiting for Songkur's dirty tricks. Let's see who dies faster this time. The next 2 days passed quietly. Shin Xiaoxing stayed at the military barracks and never returned. I know he's waiting for me to go apologize and make up with him in his dreams. I don't have time to bother with him. I've been busy handling matters. Since I'm parting ways with Shin Xiaoxing, I naturally wouldn't let him and Songkur off easy. I sold everything valuable I'd bought for the house. The things that couldn't be sold, I gave away to others. I gave all the sweaters I knitted for Shin Xiaoxing and the new clothes I bought to Instructor Zhang's wife at the East End. She was very grateful and pulled me aside to chat. Sister Zhang asked me, "Has your chief Shin not come home these past few days?" I nodded, and Sister Zhang looked at me sympathetically. "Nian Nian, you're a good person, and good people often get taken advantage of. There are some things I don't want to say, but I just can't bear to see you treated this way. That Songkur is no good. You need to be careful around her." "I know, and I don't care anymore. Let them do whatever they want. It has nothing to do with me. But you're pregnant now. Even if just for the sake of the baby in your belly, you should plan for yourself. Besides, some things won't be spared even if you keep tolerating and sacrificing yourself." Sister Zhang's words hit the nail on the head. In my past life, didn't I keep tolerating and sacrificing myself, only to be schemed against by them in the end? I nodded. "Sister Zhang, thank you for the reminder. I'll be careful. Even a rabbit will bite when cornered, let alone a person. If they push me too far, I won't let them off easy." Seeing that I took her words to heart, Sister Zhang lowered her voice. "You should watch out for that Xiaoli by Chief Shin's side. He has an improper relationship with that Songkur." Upon hearing this, I immediately pressed further. How could it not be normal? "Sister Zhang, I won't hide it from you. That Xiaoli is no good. seeing I'm easy to talk to. He's been helping Song Kuo bully me all along. Sister Zhang's expression turned serious at my words. She lowered her voice. That Xiaoli and Song Kuo are having an affair. I saw it with my own eyes. Sister Zhang's words made my heart skip a beat. I immediately recalled how Xiaoli had looked like a startled bird when I threatened to expose his and Song Kuo's shameful dealings that day. So Xiaoli and Song Kuo really do have an improper relationship, but didn't Song Kuo like Shen Xiaoxing? Why would she get involved with Xiaoli? I immediately asked sister-in-law Zhang. How could Song Kuo take a liking to Xiaoli, a security guard? I always thought she was trying to flirt with Shen Xiaoxing. I don't know about that, but I'm not lying. When Song Kuo first came here, I saw with my own eyes Xiaoli coming out of her house in the middle of the night, not just once, but several times. At that time, I thought they were dating, until later I noticed Song Kuo seemed to have her eyes on your family's chief Shen. Mrs. Zhang stopped at the hint and said no more. I fell into deep thought. In my past life, Xiaoli had always defended Song Kuo, constantly helping her distort the truth to bully me. A big reason Shen Xiaoxing didn't believe me was because Xiaoli was aiding in the mischief. In my past life, I never understood why Xiaoli would twist the truth. I always treated him well, but now hearing Mrs. Zhang say this, finally reached a conclusion. So Xiaoli was also one of Song Kuo's admirers, charging into battle for the woman he loves. That explains why Xiaoli helped Song Kuo target me like that. Aunt Zhang's words made me secretly wary, so I paid extra attention to Xiaoli and Song Kuo. Little did I know what I'd uncover. Sure enough, I spotted something suspicious. Xiaoli actually sneaked into Song Kuo's house at night. I'm not sure if they're having an affair, but a man and a woman alone together in the dead of night can't be up to any good. Remembering how helpless and pitiful I was when they schemed against me in my past life, a surge of hatred welled up inside me. I'll make this despicable couple pay. I grabbed a basin and a stick from the house. Standing outside Song Kuo's door, I started banging loudly while shouting, "Thief, catch the thief." 6. The noise of me banging the basin in the dead of night was so loud that soon all the neighbors woke up and came running to see what was happening. Pointing anxiously at Song Kuo's house, I said, I saw someone sneaking into Comrade Song's house when I went to the bathroom at night. It must be a thief. Don't let them get away. No one doubted my words, especially when Sister Zhang immediately instructed Zhang to lead people to block the windows at the back. The others followed me to guard the front door and make a commotion. After some ruckus, the door finally opened. Song Kuo and Xiaoli appeared before the crowd. I deliberately raised my voice. Oh, it's Xiaoli. What are you doing at Comrade Song's house in the middle of the night? I have some business with Comrade Song, Xiaoli stammered in reply. Business? What kind of business can't be discussed during the day and has to be talked about at 2 a.m. Exactly, what's so urgent to discuss in the dead of night? Unless you two. Auntie Zhang raised her voice, and Song Kuo immediately denied. We have no relationship whatsoever. Xiaoli was just concerned about my health and came to check on me. Who would believe such nonsense? Nobody bought it. Someone deliberately remarked. Could Comrade Song and Xiaoli be dating? There's nothing wrong with that. No need to be so secretive about it. No, we're not dating. Song Kuo shot me a venomous glare, persistently denying any special relationship with Xiaoli. Xiaoli also denied it, insisting that he only came to check on the sick Song Kuo out of concern, fearing something might happen to her. The commotion only ended when Shen Xiaoxing arrived and dispersed the noisy crowd. With Shen Xiaoxing's order, the onlookers scattered, and I lost interest in the spectacle. Preparing to leave, seeing her backer arrive, Song Kuo immediately burst into tears. Xiaoxing, Xiaoli, and I are completely innocent. He was just worried about me and came to bring me medicine. I never expected Comrade Mu to slander us like this. As Song Kuo burst into tears, Xiaoli also started complaining of unfair treatment. Shen Xiaoxing scolded me with a dark expression. All you do all day is stir up trouble. Why can't you do something proper? Do you have any idea your actions could drive someone to their death? I sneered. I only called for help because I saw someone sneaking into Comrade Song's house in the dead of night and got worried. Is that wrong? Moreover, with so many guards around, why is Xiaoli the only one sneaking into Comrade Song's house late at night? As I said this, both Xiaoli and Song Kuo changed their expressions, and Shen Xiaoxing also showed a suspicious look. He's no fool. Otherwise he wouldn't have risen to such a high position. Seeing Shen Xiaoxing look at them, Song Kuo immediately fell to the ground pretending to faint. Then she was rushed to the hospital. I sneered and turned back into the house. I had seen it clearly. Song Kuo's gaze at me was filled with utmost venom. Needless to say, she hated me to the core, with my interference exposing her relationship with Xiaoli. Song Kuo knew full well that I was aware of their dirty little secret. Unwilling to let her affair with Shali become public, Songkur had no choice but to find a way to cover it up, to eliminate me, her greatest threat. I was certain Songkur would make her move soon. What I fear is her not making a move. Now we're getting to the fun part, setting the trap. In the morning, I got up to go to work, and everyone I met along the way was talking about Songkur and Shali's affair. There were all sorts of rumors. I arrived at work in a cheerful mood and felt great all day. At noon, Shen Xiaoxing came to my workplace and started scolding me as soon as we met. The matter from last night has been clarified. It was indeed Shaoli who went to check on Kur because he was worried she might have an episode. There's nothing between them, I scoffed. Whether they have a relationship or not is none of my business. Did you really need to come here specifically to tell me this? Of course I didn't come specifically to tell you this, Moon Yanyan. Your recent behavior has been utterly unacceptable. To target Kur, you actually tried to slander her by implying she had an improper relationship with Shaoli. Have you ever considered how much damage such accusations could do to a woman's reputation? I laughed in anger. When did I ever slander them? I just saw someone sneaking into Songkur's house and assumed it was a thief. If Shaoli was genuinely just concerned about Kur and wanted to check on her, couldn't he have knocked on the door openly like a normal person? Why did he have to skulk around like a criminal? True love indeed. Shen Xiaoxing was still defending Songkur. 7. Shaoli didn't want to disturb the neighbors, so he didn't knock. But you, what are you doing staying up all night watching Songkur? I'm warning you. I haven't settled accounts with you over last time yet. Don't go causing more trouble for me. You're so ridiculous. I've already explained clearly that I shouted because I thought it was a thief. Are you just not understanding or deliberately picking a fight? Shen Xiaoxing slammed the table angrily. What kind of attitude is that? Songkur ended up in the hospital because of this incident you caused, and you still can't recognize your own mistake. I'm not wrong. If I must have made a mistake, it was marrying you in the first place. Didn't you want a divorce? I agree. Let's get divorced now. Go find whoever you want to be with. But before the divorce, you must return all my money. Shen Xiaoxing still thought I was the meek Moon Yanyan who only had eyes for him, and actually dared to glare at me with such arrogance. I won't indulge him. Want to make a scene? Let's see whose face gets tarnished. I turned up the volume while shouting and began wiping away tears. I've worked hard to save money for years to prepare for having a child, yet you gave it all to Songkur to buy appliances. Last time, you took my salary without a word and gave it to Songkur for clothes. And the time before that, you used my wages to buy her cosmetics. My voice boomed at its loudest, and Shen Xiaoxing's face turned livid as he rushed to cover my mouth. I bit his hand hard. He didn't expect me to actually bite him, and the pain made him let go and push me away. I immediately lay down and started making a huge scene. Didn't Shen Xiaoxing say I was an unreasonable shrew? Today I'll show him what a truly unreasonable shrew looks like. I lay on the ground throwing a tantrum, airing all the despicable things Shen Xiaoxing had done. Shen Xiaoxing couldn't stay any longer. He still had some dignity to maintain. He left with a face as dark as thunder. My colleagues and supervisors overheard everything, and their sympathy for me reached its peak. Several married female comrades came to persuade me, while subtly inquiring about Shen Xiaoxing and Songkur's affairs. In my past life, I cared about saving face, swallowing my grievances when bullied, believing family shame shouldn't be aired, and not wanting others to look down on me. In this lifetime, I have no intention of staying with Shen Xiaoxing, so why should I cover up his disgrace? I spilled everything about Songkur and Shen Xiaoxing's affair like pouring beans from a bamboo tube. I know the affair between Songkur and Shen Xiaoxing will soon spread far and wide, with so much gossip flying around. I want to see if Songkur will be driven to despair. After work in the evening, Shen Xiaoxing was unexpectedly at home for once. His hand, which I had bitten, was bandaged as he sat gloomily on the living room chair. I walked past him as if I didn't see him and went straight back to the bedroom. Shen Xiaoxing had never been treated so coldly before. Every time we argued, I'd swallow my pride and go apologize within 2 hours, whether it was my fault or not. I always made the first move to reconcile. This time we'd been in a cold war for several days, and today I even bit him without showing any intention of backing down. Shen Xiaoxing sat outside for quite a while before finally losing patience. He pushed open the bedroom door. What's for dinner? Eat whatever you want. Why ask me? I replied coldly, what's with your attitude, Moon Yanyan? I haven't even settled the matter of you biting me, and you're giving me this look. Then how should we settle the matter of you hitting me? I retorted sharply. Shen Xiaoxing was choked up. After a brief silence while looking at the wound on my forehead, he said, I didn't mean to. I've already apologized to you. I scoffed and turned my head away. He stood at the doorway for a moment before patiently walking in. Let me take you out for a meal. What would you like to eat? What meal? if you have money, hurry up and pay back your debts, you owe me quite a sum. I extended my hand. Shin Xiaoxing's forehead veins bulged as he struggled to contain his rising anger for reasons unknown. Nian Nian, I know you're upset about me helping Song Kuo. I failed to consider your feelings before, that was my mistake, and I promise it won't happen again. I stared at Shin Xiaoxing as if discovering a new continent. What do you mean? I've made things clear with Song Kuo. From now on, she shouldn't come to me for help, she can contact security instead. I've repaid her for saving me by finding her a job and assisting her this much. I won't interfere in her affairs anymore. Let's just focus on our life together. 8. That sounds somewhat human, but who knows if it's true or not. Anyway, I don't believe it. Shin Xiaoxing pulled me up. Let's go out to eat. I know you need money. From now on, I'll hand over my salary to you. I don't know what he's really up to. I've never seen this gentle, considerate version of Shin Xiaoxing in either of my lifetimes. I was pulled out by Shin Xiaoxing to have dinner. On the way, we met Song Kuo, her eyes red and swollen. Seeing Shin Xiaoxing and me, she staggered unsteadily, looking pitiful as if a gust of wind could knock her over. Shin Xiaoxing didn't fuss over Song Kuo as he used to, but pretended not to see her and left directly with me. Not far away, I heard Song Kuo calling out from behind. It seems she fell down. Listening to Song Kuo's cries of pain, I silently counted numbers in my heart. 123. When I finished counting to 3, Shin Xiaoxing turned his head. He rushed towards Song Kuo without hesitation. Just like before, I smiled with relief. A leopard can't change its spots. That saying couldn't be more accurate. I didn't plan to eat dinner and went home alone instead. Shin Xiaoxing didn't return until late at night. He tried pushing our bedroom door, but I had locked it from inside. Shin Xiaoxing couldn't come in, so he went to the guest room. In the morning when I got up, Shin Xiaoxing was also awake and had bought breakfast. He smiled at me as if nothing had happened. I got the fried dough sticks and soy milk you like. I sat down expressionlessly and started eating breakfast. Shin Xiaoxing tried to explain. Kuo is in very poor health, suffering from severe anemia. I put down my chopsticks. Who are you trying to disgust first thing in the morning? Shin Xiaoxing was shocked by my icy attitude. He moved his lips, and I immediately followed up. Don't talk to me about irrelevant people or matters. I'm not interested. It affects my mood. Shin Xiaoxing wanted to lose his temper but forcibly held it back, even attempting to explain to me. Nian Nian, I can't just ignore her. She saved me. If it weren't for her rescuing me back then, I would have died long ago. I owe her my life. I've heard enough of this meaningless talk. I put down my chopsticks. Who you choose to help is your business. I don't care. You don't need to keep mentioning that you owe her your life. If it's really so hard to decide, just marry her. I'm ready to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with you anytime. With those words, I stood up and left. Shin Xiaoxing remained seated, watching my retreating figure. I had no idea what was going through his mind. What he thinks has nothing to do with me, after all. Even in my previous life, I was neglected and abandoned by him like this. After work in the evening, Shin Xiaoxing came to pick me up at the office. He bought groceries and personally cooked dinner, only realizing during the process that many things were missing. The pots, pans, and utensils I had bought with my own money were all gone. Only the items Shin Xiaoxing had purchased remained. He exclaimed as if discovering a new continent. Nian Nian. It seems like quite a few things are missing from our home. Yes, there were too many things we didn't use, so I gave some away. I see. He didn't quite believe me. Since the items I gave away were either brand new or nearly new, how could they be unusable? We ate in silence, with only the clinking of bowls and chopsticks breaking the quiet. I kept my head down the entire time without saying a word. Shin Xiaoxing kept staring at me. I could feel his gaze, but I didn't respond. Finally, he couldn't hold back anymore and spoke first. Nian Nian, why aren't you wearing your wedding ring? I took my time, sipping half a bowl of soup before replying. I sold the wedding ring. Why would you sell it? Shin Xiaoxing asked in surprise. Why doesn't he know? I smiled wryly. Because I'm short on money. I have no money on me, and I need money. No one is kind enough to give me money willingly, so being broke, I had no choice but to sell my wedding ring. My words left Shin Xiaoxing silent. He knew how much I treasured our wedding rings. After marriage, I kept reminding him to wear his wedding ring, yet he always refused to wear it, citing inconvenience. All along, it was just me foolishly wearing that self-prepared wedding ring alone. I pushed away my bowl and chopsticks, standing up to return to my room. After taking just a few steps, Shin Xiaoxing's voice came from behind me. When I get my salary, I'll buy you a new ring. 9. I let out a scoff without turning back, and he continued, Song Kuo's body is really too weak, not suitable for military service. I've talked with her and plan to send her back to her hometown for work, so she can be closer to her parents and family for easier care. Shin Xiaoxing's words made me turn around. Did she agree? Shin Xiaoxing nodded. She agreed. Song Kuo is a reasonable person. She also felt she was imposing too much on us and said she'd find an opportunity to apologize to you properly, to clear things up. Upon hearing this, I smiled ambiguously as Shin Xiaoxing continued. Nian Nian, my feelings for Song Kuo are purely gratitude. I've never had romantic feelings for her. If my previous assistance to her caused you misunderstanding, I sincerely apologize. I'm sorry. Such things won't happen again. I simply looked at Shin Xiaoxing with a faint smile, which seemed to unsettle him. Nian Nian, she has already agreed to leave this place. These days she's busy with work handovers, but she said she'll make time to explain things to you. I hope you can talk to her calmly and peacefully. Song Kuo actually wants to meet and discuss this with me in detail. This is good news. I've been waiting for this day for so very long. I smiled and said, great, tell Song Kuo that I'll be ready to receive her anytime, anywhere. Song Kuo came to see me 3 days later. I can't wait to meet her. Song Kuo still looked as fragile as ever, but the moment she closed the door and confirmed we were alone, she instantly became a different person. She glared at me viciously. Mu Nian, you wretched woman, you must be so pleased to finally drive me away, aren't you? Of course. Watching you slink away like a stray dog with its tail between its legs brings me great joy. As my words fell, Song Kuo's face turned ashen. You set me up, playing hard to get by threatening divorce to force Xiaoxing to send me away. You shameless bitch. I underestimated you. What you underestimated about me goes beyond this. There are many things you don't know. Would you like me to spell them out for you in detail? I smiled at her and said, I know about your affair with Xiaoli. I know you've set your sights on Shin Xiaoxing and tried to seduce him. I know you've been plotting against me. You must have prepared quite a few tricks for today's visit, haven't you? How did you know? Song Kuo was startled by my bluntness, her domineering attitude vanishing instantly as she began stammering. How I know is none of your concern. Now let me guess what you're planning to do next. You intend to fake a fall and frame me. Xiaoli is already waiting outside, ready to rush in when you scream and accuse me of harming you. Smiling, I stepped closer to the pale-faced Song Kuo. So go ahead and fall while screaming for help. I'm waiting for your performance. Song Kuo froze in fear, staring at me in terror. I grabbed her hair and slammed her head against the nearby table. As Song Kuo opened her mouth to scream, a rag was swiftly and forcefully stuffed into it. I casually picked up the brick I'd prepared earlier and began striking Song Kuo's abdomen repeatedly. Didn't she slander me in her past life, claiming I pushed her and caused her to lose her uterus, making her infertile? This lifetime, I'll grant her wish and let her have what she desires. I struck Song Kuo's abdomen fiercely, blow after blow, watching her face contort and change color, seeing blood flow from beneath her. Only when I saw her fall into a genuine coma did I release Song Kuo. Then I raised my voice and shouted, someone come quickly, there's been an accident. Xiaoli was the first to rush in, and without even looking, he started yelling, intentional assault. How could you harm Comrade Song like this? You're utterly vicious. I smiled warmly at Xiaoli. Stop dawdling. Hurry and take her to the hospital. If we're late, she might never wake up. After all, she's hemorrhaging from a miscarriage, and if she loses her child, she might not even keep her uterus. You. How did you know? Xiaoli was stunned. How I know is none of your concern. Just listen to me and get her to the hospital. Delay could cost her life. You don't want people knowing you're the father of the child in her belly, do you? Pale and trembling, Xiaoli picked up the bleeding Song Kuo and rushed to the hospital, with me following close behind. Song Kuo's uterus could not be saved, it was removed, just like in the previous life. Xiaoli waited outside the operating room the entire time. His face deathly pale, I stood with my arms crossed, watching Xiaoli and couldn't stop laughing. After several hours of surgery, Song Kuo was wheeled out of the operating room unconscious. I asked Xiaoli with a smile, aren't you going to inform your commander? Given Song Kuo's current condition, Commander Shin Xiaoxing must be extremely worried. How about I watch over Song Kuo for you while you personally go and notify Shin Xiaoxing? Xiaoli didn't dare to inform Shin Xiaoxing. He fell to his knees with a thud in front of me. I looked at Xiaoli coldly and said, now you're scared. Weren't you fearless when you were having fun with Song Kuo? Still trying to frame me for a comeback? Dream on. Xiaoli kept kowtowing incessantly until his forehead was bleeding, while I coldly watched this despicable and shameless creature. Only when I saw him bleeding profusely did I slowly call for a stop. Hold on. How do you plan to handle this matter? I'll make Kuo leave this place. I promise to make her give up her intentions and never disturb you and the chief again. Is that so? I laughed a few times. No, how could you leave? Song Kuo must not go. Please, I beg you. Xiaoli continued to kowtow, but I waved my hand to stop him. I have a way to make your wishes come true. when I returned home, Shen Xiaoxing was still cooking in the kitchen. Over the past 3 days, it was as if he had become a different person. Making dinner every evening, seeing me return, Shen Xiaoxing flashed me a smile. Wait 2 minutes, the food will be ready soon. I poured myself a glass of water and sipped slowly while Shen Xiaoxing busied himself setting the table. 10. He served me a large bowl of rice. Eat more. Pregnant women have bigger appetites. From now on you'll need 2 bowls. I took it without a word and began eating with my head down, while Shen Xiaoxing eagerly served me dishes. After eating most of the meal in silence, Shen Xiaoxing finally spoke up. So, Nian Nian, has Song Kuer come to see you? She did. I nodded. What did you talk about? Nothing much. I continued eating. Shen Xiaoxing didn't get the answer he wanted, so he probed further by asking me, did she mention when she's leaving? You'll have to ask her that question yourself. I don't know. As soon as I finished speaking, Shen Xiaoxing's expression froze slightly. I continued eating with my head down, knowing full well that Shen Xiaoxing must have looked for Song Kuer but couldn't find her. If he couldn't find anyone, naturally he wouldn't know what Song Kuer told me. He was worried, which is why he came to fish for information. To be honest, his concern for Song Kuer was genuine. What a pity. I sighed inwardly. The sound of a car came from outside, and soon Shelly rushed in. Chief, something's happened. Comrade Song is in trouble. Shen Xiaoxing stood up abruptly, and I also put down my chopsticks to look at him. Shen Xiaoxing didn't look at me. His gaze fell on Xiaoli, staring at the injury on Xiaoli's forehead, his expression turning extremely grim. What happened? Xiaoli didn't dare to look at me, keeping his head down while pretending to wipe tears. It's something very serious. Her uterus was removed, and she's now unconscious in the hospital. Chief, Comrade Song, she's in such a terrible state. Hearing Xiaoli's words, Shen Xiaoxing wore an expression of disbelief. How is that possible? How could something like this happen out of nowhere? Chief, you should go to the hospital right away. As Xiaoli's voice fell, Shen Xiaoxing immediately started walking. When he reached the door, I coughed, and hearing my voice, he stopped in his tracks. Nian Nian, I'm going to the hospital to check on Song Kuer. I'll be back soon. I looked at Shen Xiaoxing and said word by word, Shen Xiaoxing, are you sure about this? Nian Nian, this is not the time to be stubborn. Kuer is unconscious after the incident. I must go see her and find out what happened. Since Shen Xiaoxing made his own decision, it's beyond my control. I nodded and stopped trying to intervene. Shen Xiaoxing left and never returned. I calmly washed up and went to bed. Before sleeping, I checked my money. Only 5,000 yuan remained. This amount is far from enough to start a business down south. The next morning, I was startled awake from my sleep, opening my eyes to see Shen Xiaoxing already rushing to my bedside. He grabbed my collar and yanked me out of bed. You have such a wicked heart, Mu Nian. How could you be so vicious and shameless? Why would you do this to Song Kuer? She was already prepared to leave. Why couldn't you just let her go? Shen Xiaoxing's grip on me was painfully tight, making it hard to breathe. I clawed at his hand with all my strength until the pain forced him to release me. Mu Nian, you've disappointed me so much. For committing such a heinous act, you can look forward to eating prison food. I didn't say a word, just looked coldly at Shen Xiaoxing, waiting for his outburst to subside before I spoke to him. Don't you want to hear my explanation? What's there to explain? You did such a terrible thing to her, caused her such harm. As a woman, don't you understand the pain of infertility? You've made it impossible for me to forgive you. 11. Fine, then don't forgive me. Shen Xiaoxing, if I've done wrong, send me to jail. You're utterly incorrigible, absolutely incorrigible. Don't you feel even the slightest remorse or regret at this moment? How innocent Song Kuer was. He kept yelling at me for a long while until he was completely exhausted before stopping. Mu Nian, what are you going to do now? What do you plan to do? Let the police handle everything. Hand me over to the police and you're finished. Mu Nian, this is a crime. You'll be sentenced. Fine, then sentence me. I'm not afraid anyway. You're utterly incorrigible. Shen Xiaoxing kicked over a chair in fury. After punching the wall a few more times, I watched him coldly, waiting for him to speak first. In our past life, he was the one who initiated the divorce with me, and it seems this life is following the same pattern. As expected, after venting his anger for a while, Shen Xiaoxing calmed down. Nian, I don't want you to go to prison. Do you understand? I don't want you to go to jail. I don't want to go to prison either. I nodded. You made a mistake this time, and you must admit it. Go find Song Kuer and apologize sincerely. And then, just an apology. I pressed further. Of course not. You've hurt Song Kuer. This is serious. You can't just do nothing to make amends. What do I need to do to make it right? First, go hide in the countryside for a while. I'll calm Song Kuer down. Stay away until I've settled things with her. Then I'll bring you back. just like in the previous life, he didn't mention divorce at all, instead making me sign an apology letter and sending me back to the countryside to rest during pregnancy until everything was settled. I couldn't help but laugh. Alright, I promise you. Shen Xiaoxing quickly sent the apology letter for me to sign. I knew it was actually the divorce papers, so I signed my name without even reading it. Seeing my signature, Shen Xiaoxing sighed in relief. Nian Nian, pack your things first, I'll send you away. I nodded. I have no money. Can you give me my money back? Shen Xiaoxing agreed. I don't know where he got the money from, probably borrowed it. Anyway, that same night he brought back 2,000 yuan and gave it to me. I put the money in my pocket and kept it close to me. On the day of departure, Shelley gave me another 3,000. This is the money that originally belonged to me, which Song Kuer deceitfully took from Shen Xiaoxing. Now that it's returned to its rightful owner, I accepted it without any burden. On the day I left, Shen Xiaoxing was supposed to personally see me off, but something came up last minute and he stood me up again. Maybe it's for the best. I had no intention of returning to his hometown to be treated like a beast of burden, now that the divorce is finalized. Handling the abortion matter will be much easier. I went to the hospital to abort the unwanted child in my womb. Then after a month of recovery, I took 10,000 yuan and headed south by bus. The days of struggling alone away from home were painful yet joyful. Living for myself made me give it my all. I fear neither hardship nor exhaustion. My sole focus is on making money. After a year of hard work away from home, I finally managed to acquire my own shop through my own efforts. While purchasing wholesale goods, I encountered someone I once knew, a distant cousin from Shen Xiaoxing's hometown whom I'd only met briefly. Shen Xiaoxing's distant cousin was visibly shocked to see me. Nian Nian, what are you doing here? Do you know Shen Xiaoxing has been searching for you for a long time? I quietly observed Shen Xiaoxing's distant cousin as she informed me that his mother had suffered an accident, leaving her paralyzed and in need of care. Only after calling Shen Xiaoxing did he realize I hadn't returned to his hometown. Shen Xiaoxing's distant cousin asked me, "Why did you go south to do business?" I smiled faintly. "Didn't Shen Xiaoxing tell you about this? You should ask him for clearer details. What about your child? It should have been born by now. I remember you were pregnant at the time, and Shen Xiaoxing also said you were several months along when you left. The child died. It's gone." 12. Shen Xiaoxing's cousin's eyes widened in surprise. I was busy attending to customers and didn't continue chatting with her. I never expected Shen Xiaoxing to find me. One night after I finished work, he suddenly appeared out of nowhere. He was carrying bags of stuff in his hands and called me affectionately just like before. "Nian Nian." I looked at him indifferently. He smiled apologetically. "I heard you were here. Nian Nian. Why did you come here without saying a word? You made me search everywhere for you. What do you want from me? Aren't you married? Shouldn't you be spending eternity in love with Song Kuer? Why come looking for me now?" Exposed by me directly, Shen Xiaoxing's face turned red with what actually seemed like shame. "Nian Nian, I didn't mean to deceive you. It's just that Song Kuer was in such a terrible state back then, and she insisted it was your doing. I didn't want you to go to jail. For your sake and our unborn child's, I had no choice but to agree to divorce you and marry her. I never intended to actually marry her. It was just a temporary measure. I just couldn't bear to see you imprisoned or suffering." I couldn't help but laugh. "Shen Xiaoxing, do you really think I'd believe you now? Do you still take me for the fool I once was?" Shen Xiaoxing's expression kept changing as he offered his first humble apology. "Nian Nian, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I was truly wrong. Enough. If you came here to apologize to me, I've received it. As for whether I accept it or not, that's none of your concern. You may leave. Nian Nian, I want to see our child. I bought gifts for the baby." This statement made me burst into laughter, tears streaming from my eyes. Shen Xiaoxing looked at me at a complete loss, and I laughed for a long time, truly finding it utterly ridiculous. Finally, tired from laughing, I said, "Shen Xiaoxing, where did you get the confidence that I would give birth to your bastard child?" Shen Xiaoxing's face turned from red to white, which was quite amusing. I continued laughing. "You really think highly of yourself, don't you, divorcing me to marry your beloved Song Kuer, while keeping me in the dark to bear your children? Carry on your family line, and take care of your parents, serving you like an old maid for life. Don't you think you're utterly shameless?" "I'm not. You're this kind of person. Don't deny it. Otherwise why would you marry Song Kuer? Why were you in such a hurry to send me away? Why did it take you over a year after I left to think of contacting me? If you had even a shred of conscience, you wouldn't have abandoned me when I was pregnant, would you?" Let me guess why you came looking for me. Judging by your appearance, things must not be going well for you. After all, Chief Shen usually travels with bodyguards. Where's your loyal guard Shelley now? Shen Xiaoxing was speechless. I continued laughing. You picked up a worn-out shoe that Xiaoli had played with and cherished it like a treasure. Now you're getting your just desserts, aren't you? Do you know why you've ended up in this situation? It's because I reported you. When I left a letter for your competitor. It was you. You're the one who reported me. Why? He actually had the nerve to ask me why. Shen Xiaoxing, did you think I left deceived and ignorant? Wrong. All of this was my design. At this point, I have nothing left to hide. I want to see the priceless expression on Shen Xiaoxing's disgusting face when he learns the truth. I know Xiaoli and Song Kuo are plotting against me. I know they're having an affair. I know Song Kuo's act of saving you back then was fake. It was a scheme by both Xiaoli and Song Kuo to deceive you, just to get you to arrange a good job for her. Who would have thought you'd fall for it so easily? So they changed their plan at the last minute. Shen Xiaoxing's expression turned grim. I could tell his heart was being torn apart. I know you've shifted your affections to Song Kuo. How could someone as vile and filthy as you hold a high position? So, I gave you all a grand gift. Now that you know Song Kuo deceived you and your position is at risk, you harmed her and Xiaoli, leaving them disabled, and now you've lost your job too. I took a deep breath and looked at Shen Xiaoxing's pale face. This was all part of the grand gift I carefully planned for you. Do you like my present? Shen Xiaoxing turned livid with rage at my bluntness, but I just kept smiling and added fuel to the fire. You treated someone else's cast-off like a treasure. Then lost your chance at promotion and wealth because of that trash, and now you dare dream of getting back together with me, even expecting me to bear your children. What gives you the right? Your audacity. Shen Xiaoxing jumped up in furious desperation to hit me, but I wasn't about to tolerate it. Help, assault, harassment, screaming. I delivered a heavy kick to his groin. Shen Xiaoxing doubled over in pain as bystanders gathered upon hearing my cries for help. I accused Shen Xiaoxing of assaulting me, and soon well-meaning citizens escorted him to the police station. Once an esteemed figure, the now destitute Shen Xiaoxing finds no one willing to indulge him. He was fined, reprimanded, and detained overnight before being let out in disgrace. He lost his job, lost everything, and then his mother at home had an accident. Shen Xiaoxing still wants to keep using me as his fool, thinking I love him and can be deceived by his sweet words. But having lived a second life, how could I possibly jump into that fire pit again? Shen Xiaoxing didn't leave. He stayed here the whole